It's a beautiful day today and we're reading about some more entitled people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today and I hope this episode isn't too frustrating. Enjoy, guys. My mother-in-law stole my collection of vintage skeleton keys to sell at a pawn shop and buy herself a new phone, part 1. My best friend recommended Reddit to begin with and suggested this subreddit and even said I should have posted it here first. I'm dividing the post into 2 halves to make it easier to read. My mother-in-law is insanely entitled and my wife's enabling of her has made our marriage very hard at times. Mother-in-law has come to us for money a lot because she keeps spending herself into a hole since she's a hoarder and a shopaholic. Her house is full of garbage, junk and unopened stuff that she never uses. The house is rodent infested too. She has one semi-clean room in the whole building and it's the master bedroom. She's mocked it up to like a little studio apartment with a futon to sleep on and to use as a couch, an entertainment center with TV and streaming, and a makeshift kitchen consisting of the adjoining bathroom, a mini fridge and a microwave. Mother-in-law's also overweight because she eats out a lot. Recently, mother-in-law came to us wanting me specifically to buy her a new smartphone as an unprompted gift and she threw a massive fit when I refused, and I mean like a child temper tantrum kind of fit. Why did she want a new phone so suddenly? Hers was 2 years old, that's literally it. As far as I know, it still worked fine. Even my wife has confirmed this, but mother-in-law was resolute that she deserved a new phone, and before leaving, mother-in-law yelled at us that we're supposed to be pampering her now that she's old. She's 53. My wife also didn't want to buy her mother the phone because she gave her money not long ago, so she could make sure that her bills were paid. Yeah, okay, this is already so frustrating. I have quite a collection of vintage skeleton keys, and I mean good ones, like ones to particular hotels, the large ornate sergeants, brass railroad keys, reading hardware, etc. My collection as a whole should easily be worth $2,000 to $3,000. Some of those keys are super rare. I kept them in a locked display cabinet, but a few days ago I came home to find my entire collection gone. The cabinet had been forced open. I checked the CCTV for the living room and I saw my mother-in-law force open the cabinet with a small crowbar. She then put all the keys in a couple of boxes she'd brought with her and left with them. I called mother-in-law right away and I demanded that she return my collection. She nonchalantly told me that she sold the entire collection at a pawn shop already and used the money for her new phone, and then said it was my fault and she had to do it because I wouldn't give her the money. Oh my god, they sound awful. My wife was seemingly on my side until I said I was going to call the police. She begged me to just drop it. No, you don't enable this sort of behavior, and even suggested I start a new collection. Oh, okay, so you've got 2 issues here, OP. I refuse to let it go because a lot of these keys are not only expensive, they're irreplaceable. I spent 10 years building that collection, but my wife kept blowing up at me and telling me to just let it go. Is this a joke? Why the hell should you let that go? So I slept in the guest room that night and I sought online help the next day when my best friend told me to try Reddit. I'd been a lurker before, but making an account wasn't hard. My mother-in-law has been in trouble in the past, but this was the first time I know of that she'd stolen from us. I needed help, so I asked here. The resounding advice finally made me pull my head out of my bum to realize I was the only one keeping my marriage afloat, and it would likely never get any better if my wife wasn't on my side when her own mother steals something irreplaceable from me. Now to answer some questions I got here. Number 1, how did mother-in-law get into the house? My wife unilaterally gave her a key when we moved in. What? Number 2, why did I have CCTV cameras in the living room? Really? Wouldn't you do that if you had something valuable on display there? Number 3, is mother-in-law on drugs? No idea, she's always been crazy. Number 4, did mother-in-law steal from us before? Not that I've been able to tell, and I have checked everything I could think of. Number 5, what kind of phone did mother-in-law get? Not a clue, but probably one of the cheaper smartphones with the amount of money she got from selling my stuff, unless she's on a payment plan. Number 6, did my wife use my money to placate her mother before? Yes, she did. We primarily have separate accounts, but we do have a joint account that we pay bills with, so it's not used for savings. In 2 years of marriage, I'd say it happened roughly 5 times. Every time my wife took money from the joint account for her mother, she always replaced it on her next payday, though in hindsight, I think she only did so because she knew I'd never let it go, because she would always have an attitude with me for a few days after. Well, like you're not allowed to be upset about that. How stupid. I was in a bad marriage fog before, but this whole situation has snapped me right out of it. Number 7, well, I locked down my credit. Already I have, though I'm not sure that my wife or her mother would be so stupid to do something like that after mother-in-law was recently arrested. I have gotten my collection back and I've hidden it somewhere that my wife and and mother-in-law have no idea where it is. I'll provide more detail in another post tomorrow. Edit, since it keeps being mentioned, yes, I did call the police. Yes, an arrest was made. And yes, my wife is a soon-to-be ex. Know that I'm taking many precautions right now. Whoa, okay, so let's read part 2. Back to what happened that day. Police did come and take my statement a bit over an hour after I called the non-emergency line. I had video footage and the documentation of my collection ready. And then there were some texts I went out of my way to get from mother-in-law to bait her into a confession. I wanted as much evidence as possible so she couldn't lie to the police. When I texted her demanding she get my collection back, she actually lolled at me and told me not a chance, and then even boasted that she thought I was a pathetic son-in-law and my key collection was tacky anyway. Oh, these people are awful. I told her to at least tell me what pawn shop she sold the keys to so I could go and buy them back and how much they paid her for them, and the dimwit admitted it all right away in the text. I had everything I needed for the police before they even showed up. The police took the whole matter more seriously than I thought. I was worried they'd call it a civil matter since the thief was my mother-in-law and she did have a key to the house, but they arrested mother-in-law before long, and the police went to the pawn shop before it closed to retrieve my collection. I got it back from the police after a couple of days, and for the moment I've put the collection in a safe, secure place that nobody can get to. The pawn shop pretty much gave up the entire key collection to the police right away like it was a bag of hot potatoes, though I scrutinized every important key to be brought back. As far as I can tell, it's all there. That was a huge sigh of relief. I took time off work and I barely slept for 2 days because of this ordeal. Also, the cabinet mother-in-law broke into is pretty much a loss since she mangled the lock and doors prying it open. Thankfully, it wasn't an antique and just something I got used for $50, so I'm just going to take it to the dump sooner or later. From her text before, I found out that mother-in-law sold the whole collection to the pawn shop for a whopping total of $300 for a collection of hundreds of antique keys valued at like $2 or $3 grand as total. That low number felt like a punch in the gut to me. The pawnbroker probably knew how valuable the collection could be as a whole. I mean, it's not like hitting a jackpot or anything, but money is still money, especially when a dumb little lady walks in with a box of goodies. Anybody else hear Mr. Krabs laughing? Anyway, the cost of repayment to the shop was supposed to be on mother-in-law, but my wife paid them back out of our joint account instead. From what the shop owner said, mother-in-law told them the key collection belonged to her deceased husband, and she was sick of the whole collection sitting in storage, so they believed her. But just to be clear, she's not a widow. Her husband divorced her and left the state around 15 years ago. Mother-in-law lives off Social Security and food stamps. She also holds garage sales every few months, and she often demanded our soda and beer cans so she could get the deposit money for recycling them. Mother-in-law doesn't drive. She gets around on an electric scooter that tows a bicycle trailer. She lives in a long paid-off house, and she would not be having any money troubles if she wasn't overspending every month, and she always counts on my wife to pick up the slack when she comes up short. My wife and I got in a huge fight when she got home because I had her mother arrested, but I told her I'm done with her enabling her toxic mother. I said I was changing the locks ASAP and I'm banning her mother from the house, and I also said that either we go to marriage counseling or I'd be inquiring about my options for separation from an attorney. I thought my wife would beg me not to do that, but instead she just called me horrible, packed a suitcase and walked out to go to a motel. Yeah, so from what we've read here today, it doesn't sound like you're awful, OP, or horrible. I just sat on the couch and let her go. She repeatedly looked at me like she was waiting for me to ask her to stay, but I didn't. In the morning, she texted me that she'd be bailing her mother out and wanted me to transfer her the money to pay for it since I was the one who got her mother arrested. When I said no, all I got back was a sarcastic wow, and that was it. Not too long later, I had a gut feeling and I checked the balance on the shared account, and my wife had taken out a lot of money. I wasn't sure if all that was needed for the bail, so I called the pawn shop later. The owner confirmed that my wife had come in and paid him back the $300 that he'd paid her mother for the keys. He was also quite angry and said that he didn't want any of us in the shop ever again. I understood his anger and weirdly enough had a fairly long talk with this guy, and he understands now that I'm not part of the crazy. I tried to call and text my wife for hours, but she didn't answer. That evening I did manage to find her. I knew which motel she'd go to, and I was right. It was both cheap and not far away. I found her car and then I figured out which room she was in. She looked positively shocked to see me when she opened the door. I confronted her about the money that she'd used from the shared account. She basically said that since I refused to pay her mother's bail after I was the one who had her arrested, she got the money from me another way. Like what, this is all your fault, OP? Oh, this is so bad. Then smugly stated that she wasn't paying that money back into the shared account this time and told me that that's the karma I get before shutting the door in my face. What have you even done wrong, OP? Then said through the door that she'd call the cops on me if I didn't leave. The smug look that she'd given me reminded me of nasty teenage girls when they get their way. It really ticked me off. I already knew that my marriage was pretty much over, but that night it really sank in. I had a long sit down with some old video games to think about my future. The house is rented, so I'm not renewing my half of the lease, and I will soon be a part apartment hunting. The last month of the lease is March, but I may leave sooner depending on how soon I can find an apartment. We have no kids yet, thank God, so that's something else I currently have in my favor. The next day, I changed the locks on the house and I removed all the money from the joint account, and I stopped all automated payments to and from it. I made sure to take only the amount of money I'd put into the account. There was still more than enough in it for me to break even and still leave the minimum required balance on the account. Either way, the cost of mother-in-law's bail and paying back the pawn shop was now entirely out of my wife's pocket, and I don't think she'd even noticed yet, but it shouldn't be long. I've been to a couple of different divorce lawyers already, and I picked the second one since the first one seemed like they were only there for a paycheck. I'll have the divorce papers saved soon. I did love my wife, but it's clear that she didn't love me, so I can't stay with her anymore. She can have her thieving hoarder mummy all to herself now. We both have very comparable income, so I'll be pushing for a clean split divorce. This woman didn't deserve me, and I fell for her act. She didn't even want a husband. She wanted an insurance plan, and I'll be clear, I won't be changing my mind about divorce. My soon-to-be ex-wife can beg and love bomb all she wants, if she even bothers to. I've never been her number one, and I'm not going to settle for being number two in my own marriage. It's over. Edit, yes, I asked the landlord to allow me to change the locks. He was all for it when I told him what happened. All I had to do was mail him a copy of the new key. He doesn't want my mother-in-law to ever have a key to the house again. Wow, I'm so sorry that you had to go through all of this, OP. That was awful. And yeah, obviously the mother-in-law is awful, but there were so many red flags from the wife as well from the very beginning, and how you ended it there talking about how the mother-in-law had a key. That was one of the first red flags. Your wife just gave your mother-in-law a key to the house. Oh yeah, and so much more awful stuff. I'm so happy you're out of there, OP. Definitely onto a better life. And yeah, that was a wild way to start the episode. And this entire time, your wife was acting like it was all your fault, only because you were standing up to the mother-in-law even a little bit. Yeah, you did the right thing, OP. The next one is called Friend Excitedly Invited Myself and 8 Other Friends Over for Dinner, only to ask for us to pay her back the next day. I've got a new friend from my grad school who's been constantly mentioning how she wants us over for dinner so she can cook for us, so she finally set a date. Her menu of food was pretty lackluster, and most of us contributed to her hosting by bringing nice wine and tequila, while leaving her a bottle as a hostess gift. The next day, she sends us all a message asking if we can pitch in $10 each to cover some of the food cost, and to cover the cost of her roommate's tequila, which we didn't even know was opened. I reluctantly sent her the $10, as did some of my other friends, even though I had a few friends think it was absolutely ridiculous to do so they completely avoided sending her anything. Since then, I've sent her a message requesting her to let us know if she expects compensation, especially if she's purposefully inviting us, and to also let us know if we're using her roommate's items, which we're expected to pay for. I got a lukewarm response from her, and now I can't help but think she's tacky and has bad etiquette. Oh my god, yeah, definitely. That's such a tacky thing to do. You don't invite somebody over to your place insisting to cook for them, and then charge them for it later, especially when they weren't expecting that. Yeah, that sucks, and that's so entitled. Yeah, the top comment says your thinking is spot on. Who does this? Invite guests and then ask them to pay? I think this deserves a turnabout is fair play moment in the future. Maybe she hasn't been on the receiving end of one of these situations. Maybe it's time for her to be. The other option is to not invite her to things in the future. If you do ever end up at a restaurant or something, always ask for a separate check at the very beginning without discussing it first. Make it known that you're only paying for yourself. So tacky and very bad manners that your new friend has. There's another update post to the one we read before. I had my wife served for divorce since she sided with her key-stealing entitled mother. Just because I found the thought of it humorous, I'll be referring to my wife as wifey a lot from now on. Also, I know I seem like I'm posting too fast, but remember, this originally started around 10 days ago, and I have not wasted time in getting the divorce started. I also apologize for the length of this post, as I could not keep it short. It really didn't take me long to find and hire a divorce lawyer, and she's mean. Yes, my lawyer is a woman. Okay, don't know why you said that, and she does seem pretty good at her job. She asked me a couple of times if I was really sure I wanted to do this, but once I explained my full story to her and showed some evidence, she agreed with me when I said that I wanted to start ASAP, so she got the ball rolling. Oh, this divorce is going to cost me, but I don't care. I'll rebuild my savings later as a free man. I didn't even want to rent the house I'm currently living in anyway. Wifey pushed me for that. I'd have been happy staying in our old apartment we used to share until we could have actually afforded to buy a house together, but that's obviously never going to happen. I'll be paying a lot less for an apartment once we do separate. Well, yeah, it's a good thing you didn't buy a house together, OP. Before coming home, wifey spent some time at a cheap motel when she bailed her mother out of jail, and she even threatened to call the police on me when I went to see her there. I changed the locks with my landlord's permission while wifey was still away, and I sent her a text saying that I'd done so, but I guess she'd not bothered to look since she never responded. So upon returning home, she ended up pounding on the door and screaming at me to let her in. I just watched her through the doorbell camera and let heard her keep it up for a while before she finally got her phone to call me. I was already walking home from having had dinner with my best friend when she called, and I pointed out the text she'd not bothered to read. When I got home to let her in, she was all puffy-cheeked and teary-eyed and red with a bit of cat butt face. I had a new key ready for her, and I told her if she gave a copy to her mother again, I'd be notifying our landlord, as they were already very angry that she'd given her mother a key to begin with. I'm not sure what the landlord could have done, but it was enough to make wifey comply for the moment. Plus, I'm not going to be living here much longer anyway. My mother-in-law still believes she did absolutely nothing wrong. Yeah, of course they do, and is playing the victim to wifey every chance she gets. She's not allowed over anymore, for obvious reasons, and I've been repeatedly called a monster by her and wifey. I've never been more glad that mother-in-law has no friends, because then she'd be telling them all her convoluted version of the story to paint me as a villain. I just know it. She was told how much my key collection is roughly worth, and what kind of felony charges she could be facing, though my collection was returned fully intact, so she may get the charges lessened. I'd like to hope she gets a decent punishment at least, but I'm not really counting on the system to throw the book at a manipulator like her. As I said in my previous post, wifey also paid her mother's bail and what she owed to the pawn shop with money out of her joint bank account, and then smugly told me that she wouldn't be putting the money back. Basically, that was a terrible power move, and her only way to try and put all the cost onto me. I've since removed everything I had in that account, and I stopped all future payments to it so she can't spend my money too, and I've changed my passwords to pretty much everything. Wifey flipped the hell out on me for it once she finally checked the account a couple of days ago, because that meant that what she paid for mother-in-law's bail and reimbursing the pawn shop was all in her money only, and now there was no access to my funds to supplement her own with. I just ignored her tantrum and went to the home office to watch anime on my computer. She banged on the door for a while demanding I talk to her. I just stayed quiet and put headphones on. Wifey has repeatedly demanded that I drop all charges against her mother, and even said that if I really loved her, I would not only stop all of this, but I'd cover the cost too. Wow, how dare they? When I kept on refusing, she moved into the spare bedroom. She tried to kick me out of the master bedroom first, but I made it clear that I'm not giving up the master bedroom when she's the one at fault. She tried to start taking my stuff out, but I just blocked her while pointing my finger at her face and said no, like I was talking to a dog. She ended up crying and saying I was demeaning her, but I didn't care. Then, for some more deception on her part, she admitted to me out of pure spite that until this mess had started, she'd been planning on letting her mother come live with us full time soon because of the state of her hoarder house. She boasted that she was just going to move her in while I was at work. I told her we were supposed to be equal partners before all of this happened. Oh my god, they're just showing how awful they are, and I was sick of her unilateral decision making, and as long as I'm paying 50% of the lease, her mother will not be living here, and if she tried, I'd throw all of her mother's stuff out immediately. Wifey looked like she wanted to explode and stormed off to have a drink and a loud phone call with her mother in the kitchen. I just started removing her stuff from the master bedroom and I left it in the other room for her. I've put a new lock on the door to the master bedroom too. I had wifey served at her job, which she said really embarrassed her in front of her colleagues, and she flipped out on me again once she got home. Apparently she didn't take my threats of divorce seriously until those papers were actually in her hands. She said I couldn't do this, but I told her I was done. She made it more than clear where she stands. I told her I learned a rather interesting phrase online: when people show you who they really are, believe them. And she's clearly shown me who she really is, and it's not the woman I fell in love with. That woman disappeared and got replaced with an entitled mummy's girl who refuses to act her age right after we got married, which makes it pretty obvious that she did that intentionally. At this point, I don't think she ever loved me, just my wallet. I can't stay married to a woman who conned me into marrying her. Then she started screaming at me that she wasn't a gold digger, so I asked her if she would have been inclined to stay married to me if I would have done all the same things to her. She tried to deny it at first and then looked around like she was trying to find a better answer. Then she just gaslit to deflect as usual, but I had none of it. I told her right then and there that I'm not renewing the lease on the house with her because I don't want to live with a petulant woman child that I can't trust, and if she wants to keep the house, she can go ahead and start a new lease to move her mother in once I'm gone. Finally, that's when the real waterworks started. She said that I was destroying our family, and I said, what family? And I pointed out how we don't have kids, and her mother is more important to her than me. We have no family. Then I just walked away. She loudly cried in the living room for hours, but I ignored her. Now she's giving me the hardcore silent treatment and won't look me in the eyes. I'm actually enjoying it, which just seems to make her angrier. As an added bonus, I warned my current landlord about wifey wanting to move her mother in. I gave him all the details I had about mother-in-law, the state of her hoarder house, and how much of a deceptive mummy's girl wifey is. And I warned him that if he let my mother-in-law live in any property he owns, she'd turn it into an utter disaster. He thanked me for telling him and is now going to let wifey renew the lease on her own if she tries. He'll be advertising the property soon. Wifey has no idea yet, and probably would have just barely been able to afford the house with her mother's help anyway. One more thing. Yesterday somebody warned me to take my name off the joint bank account entirely so so I wouldn't be on the hook for any overdraft. I took that to heart and I went to the bank to get it done. Only took a few minutes to do it, and the bank is 10 minutes away by car. All good now. I've been working from home lately, so I had the time. All statements from the account were already printed and given to my lawyer too, so I can wash my hands of it. Edit, I don't know if it's the same rules everywhere, but the bank had no problem removing my name from the account as a co-signer when I pushed for it. There were no debts on the account and had plenty more than the minimum balance. The bank likely did tell wifey, but whether or not she knows I did it doesn't matter as she's currently not talking to me. Edit number 2, I've noticed a few comments pointing out how it was completely unnecessary I pointed out my lawyer is a woman. Looking back on it, I did write that like a complete jerk. I was just rather excited in the moment about it. No, that's not an excuse. I acknowledge that. But how fast this lawyer helped me just made me so happy. I'll make sure not to sound like such an idiot when speaking of her again from now on. Wow, what an absolute adventure. That was so wild. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading some more super frustrating Choosing Beggars. Gonna be a wonderful and probably concerning and infuriating episode, and I hope you guys are excited. Thank you for joining me once again, and let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. Am I the a-hole? My daycare costs $55 a day, 2 meals are provided and 2 snacks, clean and teacher is well mannered. Well, at the beginning of January, I was informed due to inflation, daycare costs would be rising to $60 a day by March 1st. I straight up told her I was refusing to pay that. Well, she said you'll have to terminate the contract then, and that she was sad because she created such a special bond with my son. Cool, I guess. So I signed the new contract, but I plan to pay the $250 a week regardless, and I might write her a strong letter explaining to shove it where the sun don't shine, and a few swear words. My kid really likes going there and loves his daycare teacher, but I will straight up take this woman to court if she changes the price on me. The meals are great, the facility is nice, but $55 a day is already way too expensive for childcare. She does 2 free field trips a year, but charges $8 for the rest. Like, so expensive. I'm about to blast her for being so greedy. She should be grateful that people are willing to pay $55 a day. Who does she think she is to charge this? It's daycare, not a nanny. She's not that important anyway. Am I the a-hole? I feel I have a right to be mad. So what? They signed the contract, but they're not going to pay them what they're asking for. And what, you think you're going to win if you take them to court? Are you out of your mind? You signed a contract. Yeah, like the top comment says, can't afford the price increase, but can afford a lawyer. They should only really need to pay for an hour with the lawyer to point out that she signed a contract. Yeah, what? That's so confusing. And OP said in the comments are all calling out this woman for her insanity and entitlement. Yeah, I bet they are. They're acting like the person who runs the daycare is making the inflation or something. And yeah, if you don't pay what they're asking for, especially after you signed a contract, how do you feel like that's gonna end well for you? It's not gonna. Great start to the episode. Hello, egg donor angels. We're looking for an egg donor. We've been on the waiting list for a few years now. I'm turning 43 in a couple of weeks and my longing to be a mama has not yet been fulfilled. We're hoping for a strong Christian, non-smoker, blue-green eyes and any shade of blonde, even dark blonde to brownish or red hair. Yeah, like the top comment says, laughing my ass off, do they think Christianity is hereditary? Yeah, what? Oh, this is such a beautiful subreddit. And yeah, they expect them to be born Christian? It sounds like they do. That's so funny. Hey, long time no see. I was wondering if you could send me $20 on my Cash App card, just to see if I have to have more money on my card so people can send me money. I'll send it back if that's not what it is. Just download the app and it'll display any balance. No biggie. Definitely long time. I hope all is well with you. I sent $2. I asked for 20. You don't need 20 to see if you have a balance, nor do you even need the 2. Just download the app. Not $2. Can you just do this, please? I'll send it back. No, sorry. Wait, so if they only needed you to send them $20, why didn't they just say that instead of making up some excuse about the app? That's so confusing. I asked you for $20, not $2, okay? Oh my god, how dare you? I can't believe you've done this to me. I don't understand why they had to make up that excuse. It'd be way less embarrassing if they just asked them for some money. But no. Hello and good morning. I will be staying at so-and-so park as soon as the weather changes. I need cleaned and bagged bottles, $30 minimum. Any gift cards worth over $15. I still need the use of a vehicle for a few hours a day, a few days a week for dating and door dashing. Right, anything else you need? And also, are they asking for this stuff or are they demanding it? Yeah, like this comment says, $10 gift cards are not worth my time. Oh, and I'm gonna use your car for my work and my love life. I need these. No thanks, given, you will give to me. That's an order. Like, so unbelievably ungrateful. Like, can I also keep the car? That'd be good. Do you have a house you don't need? I'm shooting a no-budget documentary series teaser on home renovation, and I'm looking for labourers who are open to remodeling a bathroom and a kitchen in March. Food and IMDb credit provided. What? Yeah, like the top comment says, IMDb credit for a contractor. Yeah, what are you talking about? Oh my god, that's hilarious. That could be the best one we've read in a long time. Because you know how everybody finds the best contractors? By looking on IMDb? Yeah, nah. The bloody audacity of some people. It's so funny, but also so concerning at the same time. Like, why do you feel like you can say that? Or expect something like this? Yeah, that's so wild. There is no fridge in the apartment. In capital letters. We definitely need a good working one. Thank you for your help. Hi, so-and-so community. A family member is moving to her first apartment March 1st, in with her 2 little ones, and money is tight. I'm looking for some items that you will need. Here is the updated list. Bed, frame and mattress, queen. The mattress has to still have the plastic on it. Oh my god, the audacity. Table and chairs, 4 chairs, toaster, pots and pans, dishes, plates, bowls, cups and utensils, microwave, blankets, queen sheets and throws, cleaning accessories, bathroom accessories, and a fridge. For the bigger items, if possible to pick up on the day of the move, March 1st or 2nd, as they will have a truck for moving, or we can discuss and arrange pickup before March 1st. Thank you. I'm surprised they're not asking to get it delivered. She's looking for a brand new mattress since it still has to be in the plastic. I don't know anybody that would just be willing to give away a brand new queen size mattress. Selling it, yeah, but again, brand new won't be too cheap, unfortunately. She'll have more luck with a gently used one that's been kept covered with a mattress protector, if she's willing to be flexible. She can also find lots of items in the list at the Dollarama and Dollar Tree for cheap. Again, if she can't find somebody giving away the items for free. But those stores do have a really good variety of cleaning supplies and other items, especially for somebody on a tight budget. Just some suggestions to help her get on her feet. I agree with you, especially for the mattress. I completely agree. That's why I said you'd have more luck with a gently used one, rather than trying to find a brand new one still in the plastic. And hotel beds are more gently used, lol. Thank you for your suggestion, but I'm not asking for suggestions. Oh my god, what? No, I'm looking for donations for a young woman with a 2-year-old and a 2-week-old newborn. So please be respectful. If you have nothing to donate, then don't type and move on. No disrespect intended, just an observation. Yeah, that's not being disrespectful. They were being more respectful than the choosing beggar. Oh, that's so frustrating. And also, like this comment says, picture 3, why do these people get so angry at strangers not going above and beyond helping somebody out? As if it's our fault that she has 2 children and needs all of this stuff and a brand new mattress? Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm looking for a day babysitter. I'm planning on getting a work from home job, but I'd like to find somebody to watch my 2-year-old. However, I'm finding it so hard to find someone available, let alone the right fit. If you know any young ladies who are looking for an easy job, please send them my way. Please see if you fit our home. Comfortable with me being in the next room working. Willing to work 1 to 2 a week for 8 hours a day. Please have references. CPR certified. I'm looking for somebody that won't stick my daughter in front of a screen, but instead play with her. I'll make lessons and activities too. I'll always have lunches prepped as well as snacks. Music is totally okay in my home, but must respect that we're a non-cursing home. Also, and this one is a big one, please be respectful of our religious beliefs. We do not celebrate any form of holidays or birthdays. Besides that, feel free to enjoy the stuff we have prepared. Remember, you're being a huge help to us and we're very grateful. Please only positive inputs. Happy to discuss payment via DM. Please be aware we will ask if it's okay to do background checks. You really need to put the hours, locations, and not have yourself anonymously. That's weird. I think it's because it's the same person who keeps trying to get childcare for like $4 an hour. Oh god, I hope not, but definitely would not be surprised. Yeah, like this comment says, it's cool, she's gonna give you $4 an hour and gratitude in exchange for the incredibly easy job of babysitting a 2-year-old for 8 effing hours. It's been almost 10 years since I paid a babysitter, but I recall it was about $13 then. Yeah, 10 years ago. We read some ridiculous stuff, don't we? Lady needed a discount on a vacation rental because she can't afford to pay full price. I'm new to this subreddit, but I wanted to share a story that happened to me about 2 years ago. We own a short-term rental that really only gets rented out in the summer months. It's on a lake near a small town, but not in a super touristy area of the state. So basically, the only income that we make is made in the summer months. Anyway, I received an inquiry to rent the cabin for 3 nights in the middle of our busy summer season. The woman said she was interested in renting our cabin and was wondering if there was any sort of discount available because she was a single mum. I wrote her back and said that I was sorry, but we don't offer any discounts, and kindly explained the price that she was quite quoted in the inquiry is what the cost would be. She replied, and all she said was, "But I'm a single mum, I can't afford to pay full price, and my kids need this," as if there was some unwritten rule that was supposed to make me say, "Oh well then." I wrote back and again apologized and offered that if they had their heart set on coming to the area, there's a motel in the area for like $60 a night versus the $225 a night that our place is, and there's a public beach on the lake down at the country park. I thought I was being nice by offering a solution that was most likely more in her price range. She replies and asks me if I would price match the motel. Seriously? I'd had enough of this lady, and I replied that we can't do that, and that it doesn't sound like our cabin is going to work out for you, and I wish you all the best. She then went off, saying how I was discriminating against her, how I was a greedy a-hole, how she's going to leave a bad review on our page, etc. I didn't even respond. I still think about that whole interaction, and it just blows my mind at her thought process. Like she was entitled to an automatic discount because she couldn't pay full price. Wow. Yeah, that was so infuriating. Imagine living your life with that sort of attitude. Oh, that sounds awful. Guarantee if they're upset about this, they're upset about just about anything. But I'm a single mum, I can't afford to pay full price, and my kids need this. First of all, your kids don't need it, and OP offered a solution, and they still got upset, so it obviously isn't even about their kids. And the audacity to call OP greedy. Some people are completely blind to how they're acting. Like, oh, I'm a single mum, I don't have to pay full price. Said who? And what would they even say in the bad review? Like, oh, I was super rude to this person, but somehow they're bad and you definitely shouldn't stay at their cabin. The top comment says, "I'm gonna FaceTime you so you can tell my kids," they're crying by the way, "how you ruined their vacation. The entitlement is strong. I'm glad you stood your ground." Hey guys, I just moved to Denmark. Public transport is very expensive here, so I'm looking for a car. Does anybody have a spare car to donate? Here we go. Preferably a diesel Series 1 BMW. Please, nothing older than 2016. Wow, what? Oh, hey guys, can I have a free car? But not just that, it has to be a BMW and no older than 2016. People will try anything, won't they? Do you have a Ferrari that you don't need? Like, come on, I'm a single mum. Don't ruin my Christmas. The next one is called "My Sister Needed a Ride," and don't be late. My sister, with whom I am not close, asked me for a ride home from work. She can't drive because she had 3 DUIs, went to jail for 3 months and now can't get a license. I wasn't in the area or anything. This was time out of my day and gas out of my tank for a favor. When I'm about to leave, she texts me, and don't be late. Turns out she was just going home. This isn't like a huge thing, but it's one of the many reasons I stopped doing her favors, since that's all she would even reach out for. Oh, that's so annoying. OP left a comment here. Another time she asked my other sister to stay with her dogs for multiple days to watch them without pay, and she couldn't bring her own dogs. Of course she said no. My other sister did it, and she complained that she wasn't playing with them enough. She had a hidden camera in the living room and didn't have the courtesy to let her know. Oh god, they're not just entitled, they're awful. Ew, that's so bad. And the only time they even talk to you is if they need something. That's so unbelievably frustrating. I just got back from a 2-week road trip and my house is empty in regards to food. I'm financially tapped out and I do plan to hit up the food pantry on Monday, but even so, there are items the pantry doesn't have. I'm looking to acquire orange juice, mushrooms, any kind, vanilla protein shakes, Gala honey crisp, Fuji apples, only kind I can eat due to texture issues, fruit cups, oranges, kettle chips, plain is the best, no barbecue, bread, any kind but honey wheat is the best. Are you joking? Oh, this is so bad. Right when you think choosing beggars don't get any more frustrating, they do. OP said here, I laughed out loud. A 2-week road trip and didn't think ahead that you might need groceries when you got home, then has the audacity to request specific items like honey wheat bread and plain chips because God forbid somebody wants to give you a loaf of white bread and a bag of Doritos or something for free. Yeah, that's so bad. I don't even know what to say about this one. There's no excuse to be acting like this for a free item. Hi, is this still available? Yes, it's still available. Is it for delivery? No, pickup only. Can you make an exception for delivery? Yeah, for $40. No, for free is free. No delivery is no delivery, especially for free, lol. And it says I'm just trying to give away my desk for free. I'm learning it would be easier to just put it at the curb. The entitlement with these people is off the charts. Yeah, it sure is. Like, oh, what's that? I'm not even gonna pay for it. Well, surely you can also deliver it. Like, what else do you want? Due to burnout and my non-working brain, I'm looking for a personal assistant between the 25th of February and the 31st of March to help with organisation of festival, scheduling my appointments and helping with communication, max 15 hours a week, around 60 hours in total, someone that speaks Dutch in a relatively stable position, in brackets you're not homeless or on the verge of a mental breakdown, has enough grounding, knowledge of culture and DIY initiatives, who will listen carefully to my requests instead of proposing new ideas non-stop. There is a payment of a volunteer fee, but I can't guarantee how much it is until the festival is over and we can fix the accountancy book. Please no opportunistic money milkers. Money milkers, I've never heard that before. Like, what's that? You want to get paid for your time and work? What are you, some sort of opportunistic money milker? Yeah, the top comment, the poster is the opportunistic money milker. Yeah, definitely. Like, you can't guarantee pay? You're not a money milker, are you? Are there any hairstylists in here who might be so gracious as to do my hair for me as a gift? I just need a highlight and tone on my roots. Perhaps I could just buy the product. I'm in dire need before court. I'll pay it forward by referring the heck out of you. Adding, since some of you seem to take this as a disrespectful post, I'm one to give when I can as well. I donate my services often as I believe in the power of giving over money. Money was in quotation marks for some reason. It wasn't my intent to disrespect anybody, and obviously if there's anybody willing to do that for me, then I would be so grateful. I'm all about paying it forward in whatever way I can. Right now I'm $200,000 into a custody battle with a quote-unquote man that is trying to rip my daughter away from me and is currently holding her hostage with no contact for the last 3 weeks. Not even updated. I don't even know if she's alive, so a little giving would be really appreciated, and to feel and look my best for court. I don't need the other comments, they're not helpful. Thank you. Also, for the record, I tried to do it myself from Sally's product, and for some reason my hair just did not want to lift and get the brass out any further, so I ended up going back down and depositing. I usually can do it myself too, but I feel defeated. Yeah, the top comment, I don't even know if my daughter is alive. Now, if you could just comp me a hairstyling, that would really help me feel better about the whole situation. Yeah, hairstyling is not the priority, obviously. Well, like it shouldn't be. In a Buy Nothing group on Facebook, our 55-inch TV might have just pooped the bucket. Does anybody have one they're looking to give away? Thanks in advance. I have a smaller dumb TV. You can pick it up. The smallest my fiance is willing to do is 46. What size is yours? What do you mean the smallest my fiance is willing to go is 46? You're not in a position to say that. What you're looking for is a shop where you can buy a TV. You don't get to choose what free TV somebody's going to give you. Well, like, I mean, you do to a certain extent, but if you're picky about it, buy a TV. It's just insulting to people if you're like, oh, that free TV you were going to give me, it's not really big enough for me, okay? Is this still available? Yeah, are you still interested? Where you located? Off so-and-so. When can you pick it up? I can pick up Friday. My car is at the shop, but I need it. Okay, I'll try to hold it for you. Thank you. Please remind me Friday morning. No! That's your job, okay? It says here, I'm selling a few things on Marketplace, and this guy asked me to hold a very underpriced punching bag because he won't have his car until Friday, 4 days from now. I've been getting a lot of messages about the punching bag, so I didn't make any promises, but the audacity to ask me to remind him made me laugh. Like, no, I won't remind you that I've been holding an item for you for 4 days. I'm the one doing the favor. Marketplace isn't really worth the headache, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I know you're giving something away to me for free, but you do more stuff for me, okay? Because, you know, I'm helping you out so much by taking your stuff for free. People are so funny, not in a good way. I know this one's a big ask. Is anyone willing to volunteer to help me drive around for a month due to no license? I need a fully licensed driver. Unfortunately can't pay you, and work licenses is unavailable. Can anyone help me, please? Yeah, I don't know. Are they a choosing beggar or just a beggar? Wait a second, OP said in the comments here. God, I wish I screenshotted the comments because it got choosy alright. Their car, not yours. They wouldn't say why. Public transport, just a flat out no. I wish we had a straight flat out gloves off begging sub. Yeah, so a bit of a choosing beggar. I know it's a long shot, but does anybody have an old iPhone that they don't use anymore? Doesn't have to be a newer model, but at least a 12. Okay, so this is a choosing beggar. Has to be unlocked. Thank you. Private message me. So you don't just want a free iPhone. It has to at least be an iPhone 12. I think mine is a 13 or something, and I wouldn't consider it old. So a 12 isn't really old either. Like, don't you think you're asking for a little bit too much? Or maybe if you're asking for a free iPhone, you don't get to choose what sort of free iPhone it is? Yeah, maybe. I am looking for free hens, pure breed and already laying, and are willing to deliver. Yeah, okay, that's enough choosing beggars for today. Welcome back, everybody. We're reading some more Nice Guys today. Reading about entitled people in every single episode. And yeah, I'm very excited, and I hope you guys are too. There's something so fun and addictive about reading Nice Guy conversations, and let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. Do you have a girlfriend? Sigh. No. I've been told that I'm too sweet and caring and nice, but I don't know. I honestly just try to be me. Wow, okay. Do you have a girlfriend? No, I'm too nice. I'm the most sweet and caring and wonderful person ever, and that's why I'm single. Don't get it confused. There are definitely no other reasons. Trust me, it's because I'm too nice. That's such a weird response, and you pretty much immediately know that it isn't true. Good start to the episode. What is up, you absolute gorgeous F-word? Excuse me? It was a compliment, don't worry. Yeah, I think it only counts as a compliment if I take it that way. How can you not take that as a compliment? I called you an absolutely gorgeous F-word. The only possible wrong thing is calling you a F-word, but with it being 2023, I can't really call you a woman or a man without knowing for damn sure what your preferences are. So F-word or human are the two best solutions, so I stick with F-word for a bit of flair. I'd rather you call me a human than a F-word, because calling me a beautiful you-know-what sounds super sexual, and I'd prefer not to be sexualized within the first 5 seconds of meeting somebody. Also, you could just ask what those person's preferences are instead of assuming anything. Well, my bad, but the compliment and question still stands without the F-word. Okay, this is how you treat everyone who compliments you? I never took it as a compliment, so no. Oh, damn, you're too much of a stuck-up biatch. Holy crap, get that stick out of your butt and enjoy a freaking compliment. Wow, has the audacity to say something like that, as in the first thing they said, and then gets upset at this person because they didn't think it was a compliment. Bro, it's not a compliment. Oh my god, they're impossible. Like, don't try and use logic on a nice guy. Logic is their worst enemy. It's not like they said something super lovely or anything. And also, even if they did, that doesn't mean they're owed something now. I complimented you one time and you're still not dating me? What's wrong with the world? Yeah, like this comment says, fear not woman, it's a compliment. Yes, how dare I not understand such a simple gesture? You before and after learning it was a compliment. Yeah, like whoa, it was a compliment, okay? As in them saying that it was a compliment makes everything better. It doesn't. I kinda don't care if women want to meet in public for a first date. I'm more comfortable at home and I appear better as a potential companion. I'm a good guy, just trying to get to know you in an honest and nice sort of way. The least you can do for my effort is compromise on location. Okay, bad attitude. After all, my apartment is small and the door is 2 steps away at all times. Haha. Not to mention how insulting the skepticism is to a nice guy. I ain't just looking for that you know what, but rather testing if you have the willingness to give me the benefit of the doubt out of respect. All's good, if not, I'll just keep looking. And if I don't find someone, at least I didn't have to waste and negate my money or my time and preferences. Bro, nobody's gonna go to your house for a first date, and why wouldn't you want to meet them somewhere? Like the 2 top comments say, yeah, dating is all about making sure only you are comfortable, and somehow his exclusive comfort is the compromise that he'd like from his date. Haha. Yeah, you're not compromising, are you, dude? Nobody's gonna be comfortable going to your house for the first date. And also, it doesn't sound fun. And the attitude of being like, oh, I'm a good guy, so you should do it. First of all, why do you need to say that you're a good guy? And also, even if you are a good guy, people aren't gonna want to do that. That's so confusing. Like, literally, just to look at our situation. The guy you're talking to, you literally just said you like him because he's nice and patient and maybe even mature or whatever. That's it. Like, am I not patient or nice either? I've literally been waiting 6 years. That's a freaking patient. I'm very, very nice. All the times you went ape crap to me, I've been understanding and I helped you in every stage of your chaotic life. That's being nice. But nope, nothing attractive ever applies to me ever. I'm a effing you-know-what alien. Oh god. I've used money on every single dating app and I've read so many books on the statistics of these completely biased apps to game the system to give me a chance. And I've hired a dating coach who was a dear friend who's now studying to be a psychotherapist, who remade all of my dating profiles online and changed all of my behaviors and taught me everything about relationships, who deemed me completely normal, and still we couldn't get any matches on dating apps, and I was doing my best to meet people by spending money on flight tickets to come back to Toronto on standby to get a chance to date. She even took candid photos of me, used everything she knew of her research to give me the best chance, and I still got no matches. And every single friend who has tried to set me up, the person has never had any interest to even meet me. My only ever even real chance is with a religious girl who gave me a chance because I wasn't Christian. Everybody else has been harsh rejections or just a refusal to let me even have a date. It put so much pressure on me because of this, put so much pressure because of the lack of opportunities that I feel I have to be not only perfect, but that when a person comes along I have to execute perfectly to not waste time. And I also also have to live with reading all of these goddamn lame-ass statistics from places like Harvard and other Ivy League schools who have done research on dating that I essentially have no chance because I'm Asian. It's so freaking dumb and I don't want to believe it, but it definitely feels real. Like, I guess I'm just an alien. There are no other messages here. Like, that's not a conversation. And what did they say at the end there? That they don't have a chance because they're Asian? And what, they were saying they read a study that said that or something? Like, what do you mean? Like, half of this didn't even make any sense. And it was so bitter and angry. Like, oh yeah, somebody's gonna respond to this well? Of course they're not. This doesn't make somebody want to talk. And also them saying they've been their friend for 6 years. Yeah, like this comment says, if I understand this correctly, they've been friends for 6 goddamn years and it turns out that he was never a friend. He was just waiting for his chance. That's just sad. I feel for this girl to find out that you never had a friend in the first place. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Like, if you're only talking to somebody in the hopes that eventually they're gonna fall in love with you or something, and then you get super bitter and angry like this, that isn't much of a friend. And they said there, I'm very nice. All the times you went ape crap on me, I've been understanding. As in, like, I put up with your crap, so when are you gonna date me? I've been so patient. And also hiring a dating coach, and what, just assuming that they know what they're talking about? They're looking at this from the completely wrong angle. It's weird. They're treating it like a game or something. Like, having a partner isn't something that you win or something. It's not a prize. You're forming a relationship with a person, but they're getting all strategic and hiring people and all this sort of stuff, and still has a super bad attitude, super entitled attitude too, only focused about what they're gonna get out of the situation. Being a guy sucks. You try to do something nice and you're a creep. Don't do anything and you're worthless and you're selfish. People do nice stuff for people all day, every day, all over the place, and it doesn't mean they're creepy. What was this thing you did where you were trying to be nice? Where you may be trying to be nice so you could get something in return? That's something else that nice guys hate. Taking responsibility for their actions or acknowledging that maybe they might be in the wrong about something. Every time we read about a nice guy, they think they're the victim. They don't take accountability for bloody anything, and there's so much mental gymnastics and such a lack of logic, it doesn't even make any sense. Hey, you alright? Please tell me you come to or are in the UK. I'm good. No, I have no interest in traveling to the UK. Haha, okay. Madness. Do you go gym? No, but I should. I'm weak AF. How about you? Ha, okay, you have a nice body. What do you think by looking at my pictures and videos? Haha. You look like a bodybuilder. I'm not, but thank you. I go gym 2 or 3 times a week because of my job, bodyguarding. Oh, cool. I do boxing and wrestling too. What's your ethnicity? Caucasian and Swedish. Why? No reason, just wondering. Because you're thick and curvy too. Yeah, genetics I guess. Same, haha. As in, I've not took steroids or protein shakes or creatine, just food and hard work and good genetics. Yeah, hard work pays off. Always. Are there Pakistanis in Sweden? Yeah, we basically have all different kinds of people here. That's nice. Have you ever been with a Pakistani guy? No, not your type. Do you think I'm attractive? I've only been with 2 people, so I just haven't been with all different people. No, you're not my type, but that's just because I don't like men with muscles. Ah, okay, nice, fair enough, but what about my face? I wouldn't know. I only get attracted to people if I have strong feelings for them. Yeah, I get you, and I understand. Might come see you. No response. I would love to meet up and see you, not gonna lie. No response. Hi, babe, do you hate me? Babe, you okay? Don't call me babe. Don't be so moody. So what, putting up boundaries makes me moody? I'm British. We say babe, darling, hun in our English vocab. Such a rude fat blob you are. Doesn't change what I'm comfortable with. Yeah, I can be rude, but I wasn't rude now. And it's obvious that I'm fat, so that's not going to bother me. You're thick and curvy, not fat. I'd love to see the reactions you get from random men when you call them babe. Huh? I wouldn't mind. I haven't spoken to you in ages. I was just being nice and polite. Sorry. Thank you though. This is gonna fit perfectly into Nice Guys. True. I don't want to meet up and see you, to be honest. Not gonna lie. I was only being nice and polite after saying such a rude fat blob you are. Yeah, you see the issue here? Probably not, even though it's so obvious. Hello, I know it's late and all, and you probably don't remember me. You sold me your math textbook on campus a few weeks ago, and I kept your number because you seemed really nice. Thank you, but that's strange. I know, but give it a chance. I also think you're really beautiful, and the pins on your backpack indicate that we have similar interests. Let's get coffee tomorrow and catch a movie. Look, I don't know you, plus I'm already seeing someone. Thank you though. Oh, BS, you're not seeing anyone, because any man wouldn't have let you out of the house looking the way that you did. Me? I'm a nice guy, a gentle, intellectual soul who would only have a lady's best interest at heart. I would make sure you were cared for and protected. Whoa, yeah, I'm done here. don't contact me again. Oh, you're done here? No, I am Dome here. You're a real C-word, a demented one at that. Have fun with your boyfriend, who in all probability is just a jock F-buddy who's gonna bed you and toss you out the next day. Piece of trash you are. Well, yeah, you're such a nice guy, a gentle intellectual soul. How can you actually be that delusional? I'm so gentle and kind and loving. Calls them a demented C-word. As you can see, I'm so nice. Okay, we've got some nice guy stories here. He really dropped the being nice to women doesn't work to get with them. So, I met this guy at a Halloween party. I was super drunk and we made out. One of my friend got weird vibes, but everybody else loved him since he was so sweet to me, getting me water, something to eat, keeping an eye on me. I didn't remember much about the night, but I trusted their judgment and I went on 2 dates with him. He was nice and we shared a lot of interests. Looking back, he may have echoed back what I was passionate about to me. He seemed kind of smitten, always telling me how funny I am and that I'm amazing. I did like him, but he just wasn't my type when I was sober. There was no spark, so I told him, but I said that if he's okay with that by any chance, I'd love to be friends. He agreed and said that he couldn't be emotionally vulnerable with anybody anyway, which surprised me because he shared a lot of insecurities unprompted on our second date. He said we should probably not hang out alone though, rather in groups. Fine by me. But then he asked me to hang out and get a coffee and I agreed. As friends, of course. I was enthusiastic about it, but he seemed kind of cold while texting. When we were hanging out, he kept on mentioning how he just wanted to hang out because I'm his quote-unquote break from studying, and he also kept making fun of my driving anxiety when I mentioned it, but really over the top and not in a funny sort of way. It just felt mean. That whole behavior made me feel so dumb for being enthusiastic about seeing him, and the cold text continued after that. When he wanted to hang out again, I kind of mirrored his cold negative tone, and he ghosted me after that. He commented under my Instagram post a while later, and I liked his comment. It wasn't one that somebody could really reply much to. And then I saw him at the mall with his friends and I gave him a friendly wave. He smiled back. Literally a day later, he deleted and blocked me on most socials. I was so confused, but I didn't want to disrespect his boundaries, so I sent him a text saying how he doesn't have to reply, of course, since he blocked me elsewhere, but if he's comfortable, I'd like to know what happened. First, he said he felt like the friendship was one-sided and that he doesn't like getting coffee when being friends with women. Then why did he ask me to get coffee, but rather takes night walks and cuddles? I told him how I felt about the friendship being one-sided and that cuddling is just too intimate for me, for just a platonic male friend. He sent me a long wall of text where he was very passive-aggressive towards me, saying that he wasn't thinking about cuddling with me anyway, and how it's silly that he rants like this to me of all people. He said he noticed that being nice doesn't work to get with women anyway, since he's just reduced to his looks, so now he jumps to any opportunity and reduces himself to his looks, and it's so crappy to see how that works on dating apps, etc. All that frustrated nice guy monologue. So weird. I really thought he was a genuinely nice guy, but God, was I wrong? Yeah, the frustrated nice guy monologue. Like, how many of them have we read just today? It's like the nice guy trademark. And yeah, what? You're gonna be friends, but you're gonna cuddle and stuff? Like, obviously, they don't want to be friends. Yeah, at least it's all over now, OP. The next one is called Nice Guy Finds Me When I'm Trying to Put Away Groceries. Recently, I was walking home from university in the evening. I'd stopped to buy a couple of groceries on the way, including some cold things. This will be relevant later. Anyway, I was nearly home when this random guy stopped me and said that he was visiting my city for a few days and wanted to know what there is to do around here. Honestly, there isn't much, and I told him that. The only thing I could think of was to recommend a museum. I was wearing a shirt from a nearby research lab, so he rightfully assumed I liked science. He takes that opportunity to tell me all about his publications, which are in a similar field to what I'm studying. I get excited, mostly surprised to run into somebody in public who's in the same field that I am. It's not one of those popular science ones you see often. He stops and asks me if I'm under or over 18. A bit weird, but I assume it's because I look young, and a lot of guys don't want to look like they're talking to a kid in public at night. I tell him I'm over 18, just being honest, so he keeps talking to me. After telling me more about his research, I tell him I need to go home to put my groceries away. My cold items need to go in the fridge. He suddenly looks very disappointed and asks me to listen to him talk about more of his research. It was interesting stuff that I did want to hear more about, so I figured staying out a little longer wouldn't be a huge issue. Another spiel later, and I really do need to put my cold things in the fridge. He asked me for my phone number so that he can keep talking about his research. Again, it's interesting, so I gave it to him. I thought that was all he'd be using the number for. He then says I can go. Weird that he thought that I couldn't, but he wants to meet up later that night to get drinks once I've put things in the fridge. When I make it clear that I don't want to go out again after going home, he insists that I should put the cold things in the fridge in his hotel room so that I never actually go home and can thus stay out and we can have dinner and get drinks and watch a movie. I tell him I really need to go home. I'm tired after studying all day and I need to put my groceries away. He insists on walking me the rest of the way home. I see no point in arguing. Oh no. He's probably probably gonna tag along regardless of what I tell him. Plus, I live in a large apartment building with secure doors. Even if he does follow me the entire way, I still take a different route home. While we're walking, I tell him I'm not interested in dating him, and he says that's disappointing, but he'll accept it. But then he talks all about how the reason he's accepting of it is because he believes in consent and he's a caring person. Oh my god. He says we should still get dinner, drinks, and a movie regardless tomorrow night, and that he doesn't drink alcohol, so I don't need to worry about him making drunken advances. It'll strictly be as friends. I say maybe, just wanted to get out of the situation. I'd figured out by that point that if I had said no, he would have just changed the topic and asked me again shortly after. Finally, I get to a random building and I say that I'm home. Thank you for walking me. Just the pleasantries I default to when I'm not sure what else to do. Luckily, he takes my word and leaves before I try to go inside. Once he's out of sight, I run in the opposite direction and I continue taking a different route to my actual building. I'm home. I finally get to put my things in the fridge and go to sleep. But he texts me to remind me that we agreed to go out tomorrow night. Again, I only said maybe because he wouldn't listen if I said no. Now that I'm in a safe environment, I explicitly tell him that I'm not interested in going out with him, even as a friend, and especially if he's going to make it date activities like dinner or a movie. Then I turn off my phone and I go to bed. I didn't hear from him again until the following evening when he texted saying that he'll meet me at so-and-so restaurant at so-and-so time. I told him I wasn't doing that. I never agreed to go out with him. He starts trying to say that I did agree and so I have to go out, and it's his last night in the city, so there's no other chance. I'd hope so, and I was so nice to him and he was so nice to me. I'd stayed home that day to avoid any chance of running into him, and I wasn't about to go out now, especially not to see him, so I again told him I wasn't interested, blocked him quickly after just to avoid thinking about it. As a side note, I want to point out how sketchy it is that he accepted me not wanting to go out with him because he's all for consent and he's an understanding and nice person. Not only did he clearly not accept it, but he kept trying anyway. Something actions mean more than words. It's amazing that some guys think respecting consent is not just the bare minimum, but enough to make them a truly nice person. Also, unfortunately, a trend I've seen in other posts here. Oh, that's so awful. And definitely enough for today. Yeah, that's bloody horrifying. Like, oh yeah, I do the absolute bare minimum, so therefore I'm entitled to you or something. Gross. Yeah, that's enough nice guys for today. Let's read something wholesome. I saved him from my collie, but I needn't have worried for he was already armed with a blade. Oh, that's so cute. Little fella is ready for battle. I love that so much. Lately, I've been playing the Spiderwick game on the Wii, which by the way is so fun, and it reminds me of that little rat guy. What's his name? Thimbletack. That's it. So cute. Me after finding that perfect video to eat my food with. Yeah, how true is that? And if not a video, a Simpsons episode. Easy to swallow pills. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. Me not doing anything for Valentine's Day. My wife not caring because I'm good to her all year. Yeah, true. That's a good point. It shouldn't be like one day a year that you do something nice. You do it all year round. Oh yeah, this one. Weird, but long time ago when I felt scared alone during 2 to 4 a.m., I would always think about bakers in their bakery who were already up during that time doing their thing, and somebody responded, former bakery employee here, if you're ever sad or scared at 3 in the morning, just remember that we're up preparing donuts and the donuts are warm for you. Yeah, how cute. The top comment says, wholesome story. Once I was at a party at some friends in the middle of summer. I wasn't in a healthy place at the time. Around 5 a.m. I go for a walk alone to clear my mind. I love walking early in the morning because it's so peaceful, and at some point I bump into some stranger who was in fact delivering some hot pastries to a bakery. He and I apologized, and he must have felt that I wasn't good because he asked me if I was alright and gave me some hot croissants to comfort me. It was a small gesture, but it gave me a huge smile, and I think about it way more often than I should when I'm down. Oh, that's so beautiful. I didn't expect the comment to be even more wholesome than the post. That's so awesome. We adopted an 11-year-old cat from a shelter in Chicago. He and my 13-year-old daughter fell in love. This is them after she got back from a week at camp. Oh, that's so cute. Cats are so perfect. I know I say it in like every single episode, but they really are. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading about some more entitled Karens. It's going to be a wonderful time and I hope you guys are excited. Enjoy, guys. Karen demands my seat, insisting that she'd reserved it. By the way, these aren't necessarily news stories, but we shouldn't have read them before. I posted last night about an encounter I'd had with a neckbeard who tapped me on the shoulder, asked me if I was single, and then flipped out when I said no. I mentioned that I dealt with a Karen not 20 minutes before that, and I'd post that story if folks were interested. So here it is. In my other post, I explained that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic disorder affecting collagen, among many other symptoms that tends to make people look significantly younger than we are. So although I'm 32. I'm often mistaken for being a teenager. I dress in a very goth punk style, which I'm pretty sure adds to that. EDS often causes something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which in simple terms means that being upright causes my heart rate to increase and my blood pressure to decrease, and the longer I'm standing up, the worse it gets. If I'm standing for too long, I black out. I take medication that helps a lot, but I've had to stop taking it in order to get the Rona vaccine, so my heart rate and blood pressure are completely uncontrolled at the moment. I just arrived at my local shopping mall and I got hit with a wave of dizziness, which is a surefire sign that I need to sit down before I fall down. There were 3 armchairs together for customers to use, and I sat down in one that had an abandoned empty shopping trolley next to it. The other 2 seats were occupied. I checked my numbers with the blood pressure monitor I carry with me, and they were pretty bad. Blood pressure of 105/68 and heart rate of 138. So I downed a few salt tablets and I started scrolling through Reddit on my phone while I waited for things to improve. About 2 minutes later, the wild Karen appeared. Edit to add, Karen matched the stereotype in every conceivable way and looked to be 45 to 50 years old. She marched over and she barked at me to get out of her seat, claiming that she'd clearly left her trolley next to it to reserve it. I told her the seats are there for everybody's use and people leave empty trolleys all over the shopping centre, so that really didn't mean anything. During previous disputes about seating, I've sometimes told people that I couldn't move anyway because of my blood pressure and heart rate condition, but it's never seemed to help the situation and it's none of their business, so I don't tend to mention it unless it's genuinely necessary. Karen with hand on hip said that she didn't ask for my idiot opinions and that when an adult tells me to jump, the only acceptable response is how high. I laughed and said, "Lady, I'm 32 years old and I don't answer to you. Leave me the hell alone." She scoffed and said, "BS, don't you dare lie to me. Where the bloody hell are your parents?" I said that's none of her damn business and to stop harassing me because I'm not moving. As I was saying this, an older man vacated one of the other armchairs with a groan and an eye roll. "You and me both, mate." So I gestured to it and said, "There you go, Karen. That's a free seat right there. Happy now?" Karen folded her arms and said with an entirely misplaced air of superiority, "That's your seat. This one is mine. And you're going to move, young lady." Entirely done with her crap, I laughed and said simply, "No," and going back to my phone. At this point, she pretty much lost it. She shouted, "Get your fat ass out of my freaking chair," and kicked the side of the seat hard enough to make me jump, as I responded with a stunned, "Wow, you're legitimately crazy, aren't you?" A member of the cleaning staff took notice and came over. She told Karen to calm down and asked me if I needed to call security. I was gonna say yes please, but Karen jumped in and snapped, "Please do," and then to me, "I would love to see security drag you out by your ear." He must have been nearby because the security guard quickly appeared and asked me what the problem was. Of course, Karen jumped in and started telling him again that this stroppy little brat had pushed her out of her seat and stolen it from her, and how it was clearly hers because that's my trolley right there. The security guard turned to me and asked if that was what happened. I said, "Actually, like I told her, I'm 32 years old and she didn't show up until after I'd sat down. She said that she'd reserved the seat and I told her that's not how that works. She's been harassing me to get me to move, and your colleague here saw her shouting and kicking the chair." Karen was gasping with an accusational pointed finger and shouted, "You lying little biatch!" But the cleaner backed me up. The security guard calmly told Karen that she can't claim or reserve seats that she's not using, and that if she wanted to sit down, there were 2 free seats right there. The third person had also now left. Karen went red in the face and barked back, "Listen here, you will make her move, or I'll be having words with your manager." The security guard sighed and told Karen that she had 2 options. Either she could walk away now, leave me alone and be allowed to get on with her day, or he'd be escorting her out of the shopping mall. Surprisingly, Karen actually went with a third option. She scoffed and stammered and eventually opted to shout about how unfreaking believable this all was, and that she was going to center management's office to get the security guard and the cleaner fired right freaking now, and stormed off without her empty trolley. Of course, the security guard let her leave, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened with her after that point. The security guard apologized to me for her behavior, and I told him it wasn't his fault, and that I was sorry that he and the cleaner had to deal with stuff like this. He excused himself, saying that he should probably follow her to make sure that she made it to the center manager's office without any further incidents along the way, and I chatted with the cleaner a bit about how ridiculous and childish people can be. She told me this was far from the worst or weirdest that she'd seen, and that I wouldn't believe the crap that people do, but didn't elaborate. A plus side was the whole situation had aided in increasing my blood pressure, so I sat there for about another 10 minutes to let my heart rate level out, and I was then able to get up and carry on my day. If I see that security guard while I'm at the shops this afternoon, I'll be sure to ask him what happened and update this post. Oh my god, so annoying! Like every single Karen story that we read, it didn't even need to happen. Them acting like they did was so unnecessary. They could have walked away or they could have sat somewhere else, but no, has to cause an issue. And all you're trying to do, OP, is make make sure that your blood pressure's okay, and you've got to deal with this sort of stuff. That's so frustrating. The next one is called a Wild Karen and Karen Jr. encounter. So this just happened, and I'm still shaking my head. For some context, I'm autistic, and I really don't handle confrontation well. However, I'm currently training my border collie, Storm, to be a psychiatric assistance animal. We are so very close to him being fully certified, but for the moment, our trainer and I organise passes for both of us to go to buildings and planes and trains, etc., so I can expose him to different environments and sounds and smells. Today we were getting on a train to the city, an hour and 15-minute ride. We got on at the front next to the guard, showed him the approval letter stating that Storm is in training. We boarded and Storm laid under my legs, taking up minimal room as per his training. We got to the first stop and in comes a Karen, K, and her younger daughter, Karen Jr., KJ. They both sit on the other side of the aisle next to me. After a few minutes, KJ noticed Storm laying under my legs and says to K, "Mum, that man has a dog. Can I pat it?" And she replies with something along the lines of, "Just ask," but I can't be 100% certain as I wasn't actually paying full attention. Next thing I know, I hear, "Excuse me," from Karen Jr., and the following conversation ensues. Karen Jr., "Could I pat your dog?" Me, "No, sorry, he's currently training and can't be a pet." Karen Jr., "What do you mean he's training?" Me, "He's training to be an assistance animal, and it's important that nobody interferes with him." Karen, "Come back, sweetie. Unfortunately, some people don't know how to share." I tried to remain calm, but Storm instantly knew that my anxiety was flaring up, so he got up and comforted me as he's trained to do. I reward him with a treat, a good boy, and finally the lay command, at which point the Karen approached us. "You should be teaching him to interact with my children. My daughter just wanted to give him a pat, and you rewarding him for ignoring her is just plain rude." Me, "Excuse me, he's working and currently in training. I rewarded him for responding to me appropriately, not for ignoring your daughter. Leave us alone, please." Karen, "You're lying. He's not a Labrador. They're the only dogs that are smart enough to become assistance animals. He looks like a border collie. They're just a farm dog. So quit lying." At this, my anxiety was starting to peak, and Storm got up and sat on my lap to comfort me and calm me down. I was reaching for treats and I began to get a treat out when Karen reached in and took a treat before me, handing it to Storm. Karen, "Good boy." Me, "Get away from me." I screamed and I began crying. The train came to an unscheduled stop at the next station and a group of police officers got on. Karen and Karen Jr. were moved to the next carriage and we continued on with an officer staying with me until the next station. Fast forward to the end of the line and we got into the city. As I was talking to the guard, who had actually organised for the police to join us, Karen and Karen Jr. saw us. Karen Jr. ran up to us and just as I saw her hand reach out and down, I gave Storm the command other side. He swiftly moved behind me and to the left side, away from her. Me, "I told you no." Karen Jr., "My mum said I could, so let me." With that, she tried to pull his leash out of my hand. I dropped the lead and I gave Storm the command danger, to which he ran and sat under a seat in the middle of the platform. Karen then enters, pushing me on the shoulder, and by this stage, my fight or flight response was the only thing in control, and I pushed her back, knocking her to the ground. More police were on the platform in what felt like seconds. I called for Storm as they arrived, handed them his paperwork and told them everything that had happened. I'm now writing this inside a police station while waiting to do a victim impact statement. The Karen got arrested for assault and interfering with the service animal. Yeah, and once again, that didn't need to happen. Oh, that's so awful. You shouldn't have to deal with stuff like this, OP, even though that sort of read like a scene out of an action movie. I'm assuming it is real, and yeah, it sucks that people can be like this. The next one is called My Brother Wants to Marry a 100% Karen. One night, my brother brings his fiancée and we were having a game night. Well, topics discussed were varied, but then the topic of ethnicity and heritage came up. Well, I look Caucasian, but my family is Mexican and Puerto Rican. I was raised in that lifestyle, so I politely say, people often confuse my ethnicity all the time, but I was recently told that I couldn't claim that as I'm not fluent in Spanish. Well, bro's fiancé chimes in. I totally see where they're coming from, because if you aren't fluent, then you really can't say that you are of that ethnicity. The comment came from my brother and he said, "Not all of us can claim that we're German." Well, she started giggling and slowly raised her hand, to which I then fired back, I didn't know you spoke German fluently." Her response was classic. Looking totally confused, she said, I don't." She also likes to lecture people about texting at work, but refuses to acknowledge her own words when caught doing it herself. I can't understand how people can honestly operate like that. I mean, how deep does the a-holery have to run before they wake up? Yeah, like the top comment says, "Always remember Karen can do whatever, but don't you dare call her out on her crap." Yeah, has the audacity to say stuff about other people, but if they're doing the exact same thing that they're talking about, oh no, that's totally fine. Yeah, that would be so aggravating. The next one is called My 5-year-old Daughter Shut Down a Karen. So yesterday, my husband and I were at Target with our 5-year-old daughter. My old vacuum broke, so we went for a new one. My husband, being the smartass that he is, placed the new one in the cart and said, "Happy mother." I just laughed at this. Then this woman came out of nowhere yelling at my husband saying that he's a horrible man and a crap father for giving me such a sexist gift. Oh my god. I've had my run-ins with Karens before, but the fact that she was yelling in front of my daughter and verbally attacking my husband that way, I was about to lose my crap on her when my sweet daughter looked at me and loudly said, "Mummy, I think she needs a timeout." The Karen went bright red and quickly walked away. My husband and I started laughing our butts off. Bless her child's innocence. That's so funny, and kids do this sort of stuff all the time. They're so honest and they don't realize that what they say might upset somebody. But yeah, in this situation, they needed to hear it. Imagine going up to somebody and saying that to them, calling them a horrible man and a crap father, and you don't even know them. Oh, that's so awful. And it sounds like it was a good thing your daughter was there, because you probably would have had an argument with the Karen. The next one is called Karen Wants What I Have in My Shopping Cart. Today I went shopping at a Members Warehouse store. I was in line waiting to check out, and this total stranger of a woman asked me about an item that I have in my shopping cart. Breakfast bars that my husband likes. I tell her they're good and they're my husband's favorite. She says that she's going to go get some, so I start to tell her where they're located in the store. She says, "Well, since you know where they are, I'll just take these and you can go get some more." Wow, the audacity. I tell her, "No, you aren't taking those." And just as I tell her that, the person who helps expedite the checkout process comes up and starts to get all the barcodes turned up right. The Karen tells her that she's getting my breakfast bars, and I say no again. The employee directs her to where she can get her own box, and Karen literally stomps her foot and says, "Why can't I have these?" The employee tells her because they're in my cart and I'm checking out now. The employee did have somebody come over and take Karen to where the breakfast bars were located. I did get the employee's name and I left her a positive review on the website. Oh my god, that's so bad. They stomped their bloody foot like a 6-year-old having a tantrum. How are these people even real? How do you even get that entitled? If I was in a shop and somebody did that to me, I'd be in pure disbelief. Like, is this actually happening right now? How are you a real person? The next one is called First Time Flying First Class, ruined by a Karen. So we're heading out for a family vacation, flying first class for the first time. Our group has 7 of the 8 seats adjacent to the cockpit, with one rando seated amongst us, and boy did we find a Karen. Right from the get-go, Karen made her presence known. We board with my father-in-law who's in a wheelchair, to find that for some reason this lady boards the plane along with the passengers that need additional time to board, but seems to be moving around just fine. Seems her motivation to do so was to pack not only her overhead compartment with her multitude of carry-on items, but some of the adjacent one. Then the flight gets delayed for being short crew, and Karen immediately starts demanding wine before we even leave the ground. As soon as the stewardess tells her no and walks off, she starts complaining to us about how crappy first class is with this airline, and I'm already thinking, can you shut the hell up already? Then comes the inevitable, we can just leave without the crew member, right? Apparently she wasn't paying attention because the missing crew was the pilot. We got released back to our terminal for a bit because the delay was so long, and we returned to our seats to find my daughter's seat occupied by Karen's friend, who was flying economy. After standing around and clearing our throats several times to try to get their attention, it's obvious they have no awareness of anybody outside their bubble. Finally, after both myself, my daughter, and my mother-in-law all asked them to clear out, they finally acknowledge that we're in somebody else's seat. After all of this, we eventually get up in the air, cue Karen slamming glasses of wine. After the third, she's obviously already drunk as hell, because she then dumped the entire 4th glass of wine on my teenage daughter, and didn't even acknowledge that she'd done it. No sorry, no here's a napkin, just immediately started demanding another drink from the flight attendant. Worth mentioning, as my daughter told me later, that Karen immediately pocketed all of the wet wipes and napkins and peanuts and every freebie within reach, all the while she's keeping her mask down while she's drinking. But the second I take mine off to drink some water, this biatch grabs my arm and starts demanding that I put my mask back on. Are you serious? Gonna complain about a mask but totally okay touching strangers? Okay, Karen. At this point, I finally tell the stewardess about everything, and they stop serving her, but she still spends the rest of the trip complaining about how crappy the airline is, trying to talk to my daughter the entire time, who was legitimately worried that this moron is gonna puke on her. Poor kid. Yeah, like the top comment says, the woman should have been thrown off the plane. Okay, Karen, here's a parachute. Jump out and pull your parachute and you'll be totally fine. No, but for real, they sound awful. Mind-blowingly awful. Once again, how are these people even real? The next one is called Sandwich Theft Karen. On a day I was off work, I was craving a sandwich at lunchtime on a hot day. I traveled to the nearest subway and I got in line. As it was noontime, there were quite a few people in line, and as many places, they seemed understaffed. I get this, everyone. There's nothing the store can do but what they can. The young teenage girl was the only one to make sandwiches, while a manager was ringing up the orders when not helping with condiments. So while waiting in line at Subway with about 6 others, I was behind a group of 3 old ladies, the Karens of this story. While not the spitting image of most Karens, you could tell from from how they talked to each other that they were the kind of women that had resting biatch faces. So it came time to have their sandwiches made. And of course, every single one of them wanted a very custom sandwich. This meat, that cheese is a little bit too much. I want it toasted off. That's too much. I want to switch to this bread. On and on. It was annoying as the one girl tried to keep up but was getting frustrated and stressed. Then the manager stepped over trying to help. But with these women, they weren't happy with anything. After 15 minutes of making each of these ladies sandwiches, it finally came time to pay. Down to the register they went as my meatball sub was quickly made and passed down. I'm plain bread, meat and sauce and a little ranch, so I waited behind them. The manager rang up the old bats, and when the total came out to be around $30-ish, they went off again. I'm not saying that they started to squeal. We waited forever to be served, and then you two couldn't even make a sandwich. We want it free, they whined. I was so fed up with it, and after it continued for a few minutes, I stepped up and said I'd take the sandwiches and I'd add them to mine. The old crows grinned and thought they had one. I paid for the 4 sandwiches now, and I added my drink and chips. After my card was approved and I was handed my receipt, I picked up my newly 4 bought sandwiches and I got my drink. As I started paying, the old ladies went to sit at a table. After getting my drink, I headed to the door to leave with my food in my hand. Excuse me? You have our food still? Are you not gonna bring it to us? Receipt in hand, holding it up. No, I paid my money for my food and I'll take them back to work. As I headed to the door, this group of old biatches went to get up and chase me out the door, which I didn't mind. The staff had enough of them and I can take some abuse from crazies. You need to give us our food or we'll call the cops and have you arrested. I knew this was dumb, but as I said, nothing better on a day off. Please be my guest. I assure you they won't be doing anything about it. One of them started to pull out a phone and call while others began telling me how I must love stealing from old ladies and how they knew this person or that person and I'd be in jail for a long time. Well, they called, which is hard to do being belittled, but I had the store crowd watching by this point. Soon enough, a few units pulled in, and as they got out, a look of confusion crossed their face. Are you the guy that called me because you matched the description? Me? Yeah, I am. What did they call me in for? You stole their sandwiches and demanded money from them? Me? Well, look into it. Ask the clerk and the manager who paid for the sandwiches, and look at this receipt. One officer walked in, spoke with the store, and watched the video while the other listened to these women insinuate that I took the food from them. The shock was priceless once the other came out and confirmed I paid for them, and the store also wanted the 3 trespassed for a disturbance. I was released to leave, but I decided to go back in and eat. They were banned and they left with an even more sour look, and the manager brought over a cookie, telling me that it was on her. That was so fun to read. I really hope that one's real. It's been such a fun episode, guys. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's read one more and then we'll read something wholesome. Everyone thought I was the Karen. So at my work, we do charitable community outreach projects, and I'm on the committee. My task for Thanksgiving food drive was to ask at Food Lion, a local grocery store chain, when they were putting out their food donation boxes. The boxes are filled with non-perishable food items, and they were about $5 the last time I looked into them. As we're getting near to the 1 month away point, I was expecting them to have put them out, but they hadn't, so I was wondering if they were doing it this year or not. So in my infinite stupidity given this day and age, I found an employee near the registers and I asked if I could speak to a manager. Now, I wasn't snotty about it. I wasn't scowling or otherwise looking mean when I asked. I went up to the woman at the self-checkout with a smile and I said, "Excuse me, is there a manager I can talk to? I have a question about the food donation boxes." Someone only heard, "Is there a manager I can talk to?" and started yelling, "Oh, shut the hell up, Karen." And every time I opened my mouth to try to defend myself and explain that I'm not being a Karen, this guy would berate me even more for being a Karen. For God's sake, leave the poor girl alone. It's not her fault for whatever you got your panties in a twist. Or, hey everyone, what do you call a guy who's acting like a Karen? Some people were even cheering this guy on. I left and went home, deciding that perhaps a phone call to the local store would be a better option. I did call and I got a manager. I apologized for the commotion that I caused and I explained that I only had a question and I was not complaining about anything. They said it was alright and that they weren't putting the boxes out until after Thanksgiving, since making sure people have food over the Christmas holidays is more their focus. I thanked them and that was that. Shaking my head. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, OP. Why would somebody even do that? You weren't even causing a scene. Yeah, that's not cool of them. And a good place to read something wholesome. That's enough Karens for today. I'd rather have it and not use it than need it and not have it. Oh my god, absolutely. You never know when you're gonna need a beautiful little kitten in your pocket. That's so cute. The third photo is adorable. Their little ears poking out. Me, Grandma, come over. Grandma, I can't, I'm too old. Me, my parents left me alone at their house without any food. Grandma, I'm on my way. Can't have you going hungry. That's so beautiful. My parents are at Disneyland and they just sent me this. Oh, that's also beautiful. Such a cute dog, and also the sketch is cute. Hey, I know we don't talk to each other, but good luck with what you've got going on. I hope something great happens to you. You deserve it. Aw, thank you, legend. Same to you. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading some more Insane Parents. While it's a beautiful day, I feel like this episode is not going to be beautiful. It's probably going to be pretty horrifying. And on that encouraging note, let's get straight into it. Enjoy, guys. Mum, will you let the dogs out and back in for me and feed them? I have a store shut down and I'm still at work. Sorry, we just left about 5 minutes ago. Grandma and Grandpa just got home, so you can ask them. Whatever. You're no longer welcome at my house. And we'll also be filing a civil suit for the money that you owe me. I'm done with you. Oh my god, what? I don't know what I did to warrant a reaction like this, but I won't come to the house anymore if that's what you want. I can just pick up Zepp from Grandpa's in a couple of weeks if that works better for you. You're not allowed in my house or I'll have you arrested. Stay away. And Zeppelin is legally my cat and is finally in a comfortable environment. Go and live your life. Get a job to pay me back or I'll take you to court. I'm done with you stealing from me. And it says here, mind you, I don't even live with her. I was just stopping by to get the rest of my things. She sent the first text about 40 minutes after I left her house and 5 minutes after I left her town. There's an explanation here. So my mum and I fought about a month ago, which resulted in me moving in with my boyfriend. For the past month, I've been slowly grabbing my things from my mum's house and yesterday was no different. I sent her a text around 3 p.m. letting her know that I was coming down to grab the rest of my things, and she said it was okay. It only took me about 5 minutes to get the rest of my things. After that, my boyfriend and I stopped to my grandparents' house, which is only down the road from my mum's, and we were there for a little over an hour. Eventually, we left, and while we were on the highway, that's when my mum decided to text me to ask me to let her dogs out. My mum and I haven't talked the entire month I've been gone, but I've been civil with her. I know how petty she can get, especially when I give attitude back to her, so I try to be as emotionless and kind as possible when messaging her, and she still manages to get pissed at something and fly off the rails. So here's an explanation of my cats. I had 2 cats, Ozzy and Zeppelin, that lived with me in my mum's house. My mum got Ozzy for me as a gift because I was sad when my little brother moved out. About 4 months after I got Ozzy, my mum and I went and adopted Zeppelin. Both cats were adopted under her name, but they're both under my name at the vets as I cover everything else financially for them. They are my cats, but on paper my mum adopted them. I've had both cats since they were 3 months old. This month I was gone, my cat Ozzy got sick and nobody told me until this past week. The vet said he had something called FIP and sadly he had to be put down. My mum didn't even tell me that he needed to be put down until after it was done. Oh god. I was devastated and I cried for 2 days straight. He was the first cat I ever owned and I couldn't even be there for him in his last moments. I'll never forget that. The only reason why I found out about Ozzy is because my mum asked me to take Zeppelin for a couple of days while Ozzy was at the vet. Once we found out that Ozzy had FIP and that it's highly contagious, my boyfriend has a cat, we gave Zeppelin back to my mum for a couple of weeks to see if he would show any symptoms. It's only been 3 days since my cat was put down and since I gave Zeppelin back. In 3 days I've lost both of my babies. My mum covered the vet bill and the extra cost to cremate Ozzy. She gave me the amount and she told me she expected me to pay her back, which I was fine with. I never refused to do so, so I don't know why she's threatening legal action and saying I steal from her. I've never done that a day in my life. This week has been hell for me and honestly I don't know where I'd be if it weren't for my boyfriend and his family. Oh, OP, that's so awful. Yeah, so why the hell are they flipping out about you stealing? That's such a huge overreaction, and an overreaction like that is scary. Like, that's not a safe person if they're gonna say stuff like this. Oh yeah, that's awful. The next one says, Dad loses his mind over a concert I told him 3 weeks in advance about. For context, my mum and I, 18 female, had both told him 3 weeks prior when we got tickets to the concert, and he'd agreed to let me go. References to the court order are talking about the custody agreement between my parents when they got divorced. I was a couple of weeks away from being 10 at the time. The last 2 screenshots are the day after, in which he refuses to acknowledge my messages. Hello, did you go to school? Yeah, I'm at lunch right now. So is your mother bringing you home today? I don't know, are you letting me go to the concert? Because it depends on how long it lasts, and if so, I would have, but you and her didn't think you had to ask me to go, so she thinks she can make those decisions without even talking about it with me. You should have let me know what you had in mind. Can I please go? This is my first concert ever. I probably won't end up having another chance to go to one for another 2 years at least. I don't care, next time you'll think of asking me, and your mother won't think she can do whatever she wants. I did, he agreed. Please let me go, please. I'll never ask you for anything again. I really want to go, please. I can't tell if you're taking forever to send a message or just ignoring me, but you're probably going to have to call mum because she's dead set on taking me, just so you know. I'll talk to you whenever you decide to send me a message back, I guess. No, and don't make me have to send the police over there. Maybe next time you'll both think about what you're doing. After what happened on Friday, you think I should really let you go? What happened happened on Friday? Didn't Mum pay you and everything? I thought everything was going to be good. Like I said, Mum is dead set on letting me see my first concert. And besides, it's not like she kidnapped me or anything. If you let me go, I'll be home either way, whether it's late tonight or tomorrow after school. I don't care. She should have asked, or you should have told me what she was planning. And it says he knew 3 weeks ahead of time. I feel like you're making a bigger deal out of this than needed. Just saying. The court order says Monday morning at home or at schools. It's one day. It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's not like she's kidnapping me or anything. And even if she brought me home after school, it'd still technically be a violation of the court order because it wasn't the morning and she didn't just drop me off at school. So that logic falls through. Can I please just go and have fun for the night? That's all I'm asking. The big problem is that she thinks she can do whatever she wants and she doesn't pay child support like the law says, and now she thinks she can do whatever she wants. If she thinks she can get away with this, I'll be in court tomorrow. I don't care what personal vendetta you have against her. I just want to go see a concert. It's as simple as that. Please let me go. Again, I can't tell if you're ignoring me. I just want to have a fun experience. You're always comparing me to my friends, so here's a comparison. Most of my friends have been to at least one concert. I just want to see my first one, preferably before I turn 19. You both need to learn that I have the say, so not you and definitely not her. Please, it's one night. Let me go and have fun, and you can go ground me for the rest of my life if you want. Just let me go to the concert, please. This conversation would be over already if you told me I could go and enjoy something fun. Again, I say it's one night, maybe 4 hours that you're not going to see me. Not that big of a deal. Whatever, I told Mum you said no. See you when I see you, or talk to you when you decide to send me a message. You can hate me all you want, but I said no. It's about the principle. She hasn't even seen my text yet, so like I said, I'll see you when I see you, or talk to you when you decide to send me a message again. Next time, both of you will think of what you're doing. Like I said though, you might want to call her and let her know anyway. I did, but I don't know when she's going to see the message. Also, I hope this mostly pointless argument was worth it. I'm in the middle of class and I have been for the past half an hour. So thank you for distracting me. I'll take it you're ignoring me. So like I said, I'll see you when I see you. So is your mum picking you up, or do you have to take public transportation? Mum's picking me up. It's not like I could catch the something anyway. It's a Monday, remember? And then later that night, hi, how are you and where are you? Are you okay? If you don't answer, I'm gonna have to call the police because you're not answering. Bad reception. I'm okay. And I don't know if you're okay. Where are you? You should be home by now. With Mum. My phone is practically dead, so I might have to text her if I stop answering. What? I'm calling the police if you're not home in by 8. Did you see the message I sent you? That's okay. The police are here taking a report and they want to know if you're okay, if you're safe. They want to know if they can call you. I'm perfectly fine. I can't take a phone call right now, but I'm with Mum. Everything's fine. Well, they're going to wait for you to get home so they can talk to you. If you're not home in 10 minutes, they'll go to your mum's house, and it says we were 45 minutes away from his house and like 50 from my mum's. I don't even know when this is over, much less when I'll be home. Mum's house. You weren't supposed to go. Mum was dead set on taking me. I told you that. I told you should have called her. I just showed the officers your text and they're going to your mum's house. And wait. Okay, this seems a bit excessive for me going to a concert. It's not like I've gone missing. And besides, we're not sure when we're getting back. Like they said, you're the parent that you live with, so you have the last word. And then at 10:48 p.m. So did you get the call from the police? They asked for your number and your mum's number. And Thursday, we're going to the court and the police officer is going to be my witness. You're not asleep yet, so you're not going to answer that. Okay, you still have to come home. So you're not coming home. The next day at 6:42 a.m. Good morning. My phone died, so I didn't see your messages last night. I'll be home after school at like 5:30 to 6. And no, I never got a phone call from anybody. And then 5:48 p.m. I don't know if you're ignoring me or not, but I'll be home in little over half an hour. Unless you send me a message saying that you don't want me to come home or something. It'd be nice if you'd send me a response so I know that you're not ignoring me and nothing's wrong. If you don't respond, I'm going to start to assume you don't want me coming home. Don't be an ass. I just saw your message. I sent you a message at 6 this morning. You could have responded to that one at least, because you can't tell me you haven't looked at your phone even once today. See you soon. Well, you weren't joking when you said Dad lost his mind over a concert. Dad most definitely did lose his mind over a concert. That was unbelievable. The top comment says, I read this entire thing before realizing that you're 18 and a legal adult. This is spiteful and overly controlling behavior. OP's dad enjoyed the no contact. Yeah, like once again, not only a huge overreaction, but yeah, like that comment said, spiteful and controlling. The next one is called Messages from My Dad When the Route from School Changed Slightly. This isn't normal, is it? You appear to be lost. You're not taking the most direct route home. Are they tracking you? I was walking with so-and-so. I was taking a slightly different route and I was going to pop into her place super quick. I was going to message you the second I got there. It was very presumptuous of you to make that decision without prior discussion. And while you say that you intended to message me on arrival, you had ample opportunity to do so before you left school or during the unusually leisurely Really? 14 minutes it took you to walk down so-and-so? Oh my god. It's enough to make me wonder if you really intended to message me at all. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked chatting to so-and-so. I should have thought to message you sooner. No, this is not your fault, OP. Indeed you should have, but your decision to willfully disobey my very clear instructions raises so many wider questions about whether or not you're upholding the sort of standards that we expect from you. In particular, whether you're actually with people other than so-and-so, exactly who else will be present at their house, and what sort of activities you intended to partake in upon arrival. This is terrifying. We'll need to have a very thorough discussion about all of this later this evening. I can't believe this. Please, I really don't need all of this right now. I advise you to mind your tone. Sorry, I'm just a little stressed out right now. I'll come home immediately. See that you do, and try not to dawdle. They're watching your every move. What the hell are they doing? Like sitting around tracking you? Yeah, the top comment says your dad talks like the evil stepmother from Cinderella. I'm really sorry that you have to put up with this. This amount of controlling behavior is extremely not normal. Yes, so unbelievably controlling. And they're like, oh, we're gonna have to have a discussion about this. No, you don't. You're making an issue out of nothing. Obsessive, weird, controlling behavior. And yeah, like obviously tracking you. I don't understand how somebody can think that treating their child like this is gonna make their relationship any better. Yeah, that's revolting. I'm sorry you have to deal with that, OP. This subreddit is intense. The next one says, I'm tired. And also it says, I've been dealing with this for years. Mum with severe OCD and what it's looking like paranoid schizophrenia. Doesn't want help. Only talk to pastors and they don't believe in mental health or illness. Now her church members are calling me up and checking on me because she told them I'm in danger. I'm not. She's fled from home because she thinks that people are trying to kill her. She's currently staying in a hotel in a whole other state. I believe that she's in a crisis, but I have no idea how to help somebody who doesn't want it and doesn't want it the way they need it. I'm afraid she's going to hurt herself or someone else. Hello, good morning. Please, how are you today? Did you go to work? I want to let you know, don't buy any tables with 4 legs. Always buy something that has 3 because 3 is a number of God. 2 is for Satan. That would not be your portion in Jesus' name. Hello, sweetheart. If you can return to your bed, do that and use 3 mattresses, only the floor. You know those smaller mattresses, but it must be 3 on the floor. No bed, iron or fixing. I'm telling you this because of the revelation that God gave me. Don't use the bed anymore. Use 3 mattresses on top of another in your bedroom. I don't want them to attack anyone because they use as any 2 items inside the house to operate against themselves, not us. Check through all of your items, any picture of the same, tear 1 away. Because 2, it's an arrangement with Satan to operate against that person. Tear, don't just throw. If it's clothes, tear 1. If it's 2 sets of shoes of the same, tear 1 set and throw it away. You have to listen to my advice that is very vital now. Due to Channel 7, please block your social media platform. Don't respond to any person looking to have a relationship through social media. They said that the Freemasonry, Illuminati, and occult satanic agent are using the social media to draw young women to sexual relationships because they know that the young women will know their secrets. Please don't enter any relationships through the social media, especially as a professional. Don't give your number or name to anybody. Withdraw your information from Facebook now. I was told that these satanic agent would also list the names of friends of the individual who's on the Facebook and start to contact. I bought communion. No pastor gave it to me. This is what I bought with my money and I took it and I am healed because this is God's word in action. But you don't want to listen to your mother. Yesterday the Lord shows me where the cough came from. That's not your portion. I'm not afraid to let you know what's going on now. Every night that evil pastor is projecting the moon and the stars and coming to monitor us, and he stays in the sky waiting for 12, midnight, 3 a.m. and 6:30 to attack himself, not us. As I'm texting you now, he's already in the sky looking down our roof, waiting to project our sleep. That's not our portion. And moreover, God gave me a revelation. This will never be your portion. The grocery we went to buy at ShopRite, God, I saw people opening the refrigerator and was trying to carry the food away to their kingdom inside the sky. So don't buy anything except exactly what you need, because what the wicked does, they make the righteous spend their money and buy expensive things so that they can come and carry those things away in spirit, all to their kingdom in the astral evil world, up inside the sky. Listen, I'm not trying to make you afraid because you're an adult now, but why I must share this information with you? Because information is the most powerful thing in the world. Whoa, okay. There's an update here. I just got off the phone with one of her pastors who's near her hotel. I finally feel relieved. I recorded the whole conversation. He agrees that she needs mental health care. I was so hesitant to call because I thought he'd be on some just pray it away sort of BS, but for the first time, he actually believes me and he actually witnessed it and noticed that she's not herself. I finally feel validated. I think the next steps might get a little bit more intense because even the pastor is fed up with her delusions and obsessions and compulsions and knows that he can't help her. He just put me on a 3-way call call with her, but I kept quiet. Right now, she just called a lift to a hotel 1 minute away because she still thinks that she's being watched. She wanted to switch rooms at first, but is changing the building completely, and specifically was looking for a building that had 3 stories exactly. She was almost breaking down in the lift when she heard the new hotel wasn't 3 stories high. I'm afraid she's going to blow all of her money carrying on like this. The pastor has been watching her and caring for her needs, and told me that she hasn't eaten or bathed and that she only lays on the ground and looks traumatized. We're going to keep in contact to see what's next. So she is safe with her pastor at the moment. But yeah, she needs to get somewhere super safe and get the help that she needs ASAP. I don't know anything about schizophrenia, but OP seems to think that she is schizophrenic. Oh, that's heartbreaking. I'm sorry, OP. I hope OP's okay, and I hope their mum's going to be safe. Yeah, I didn't expect to read that when we started reading it. What do you do for punishment for a mouthy 10-year-old? I feel like I'm failing as a parent because I can't get his mouth under control. Please send help. Going to Facebook for parenting advice. Somebody said first pray and let God take control. Let things cool down. Feed him. Let him take a nice warm shower. While he's in the shower, let him have it with a belt on his butt. You can put God's fear in him and bring in the 10 commandments and show him commandment number 5. Honor thy mother and father. For if he does, God will bless him with long life on earth. Holy crap, what the hell? Attack your child while he's naked in the shower is your best parenting advice? Yeah, that's disgusting and definitely insane advice. And also, why are you punishing them? Talk to them like they're a person, because they are. Like this comment says, how about treating your child with the same amount of respect that you want back from them? Also, how about not treating your kids like they're objects and an extension of themselves? Kids aren't robots and they won't act the way you want them to. Mouthy, aka daring to have independent thoughts, emotions, feelings, and a difference of opinion. These kind of parents are primitive brain Neanderthals who want to use a club to parent. Yeah, and then they're confused when their kids don't want to talk to them when they grow up. Oh, it's so gross and sad. The next one says, my best friend's mum. For context, she and her boyfriend were on a walk. I'm at boyfriend's. Answer, the phone says you're not at boyfriend's. All right, it's time to come home now. I'm not sure what your deal is, but it's not good. Answer the goddamn phone. Fine, I'm calling the police. Something so simple, you've turned into a mess. It's nice to know you feel comfortable disrespecting me. Well, you think they turned it into a mess? Are you reading the stuff that you're writing? And like the top comment says, I've never understood the parents that threaten to call the cops over everything. What crime are you reporting, mum? Yes, police. My child is texting me but won't answer my phone calls. I'm pissed. You should arrest them. I don't even get it. Yeah, it's so silly, isn't it? Like trying to scare them or something? When yeah, what are you going to tell the police? That they're doing nothing? The next one says, the last goodbye. Again. Hi, I'm getting my affairs in order. I have to do it by myself because it makes so-and-so too sad. My health is not good. I had 18 seizures in 5 days at the end of December. So-and-so wants a necklace with my ashes in it. I don't know if you'd want one. So-and-so will get everything I own. She can do with it what she wants. I know that you told them horrible things about me, so he would understand why he never met me. I pray that I'll meet him before I die. Since you hate me so much, I don't think you would really care, but I want you to know that I've always loved you every day of your life, and I always will. The same with so-and-so. Please let me know if you want a necklace. I'm going to pay for my service arrangements very soon. I don't want anything. I hope you get it all taken care of. Oh, that's so bad and so manipulative. It says here, the first 3 blacked out names are my sister, the last 2 are my child. This is nowhere near the most insane messages that I've received, but this one has pissed me off the most. For context, I cut off my mum when I was 18 and I ran away from home. I haven't had any sort of conversation with her besides to tell her that I'm not interested if she tried to reach out. My mum's a drug addict, narcissist, and was extremely abusive to me and my sister growing up. Also, she would bring around alcoholic men that abused us too, which is why I ran away. My mum got to my sister more than me, as I was able to have no feelings towards my mum, but my sister has always tried to prove to my mum that she's worthy. My mum is BPD as well, another reason I don't speak with her anymore. Well, this is another goodbye woe is me message I've received after not speaking for years. She reaches out every once in a while to tell me how she's dying, but it's only in hopes I feel bad and start talking to her. But if I've learnt one thing, it's that these kind of a-holes live forever. I'm more not having a mother when I was still a child. I haven't told my child anything besides I don't have a relationship with my mum, and I've left it at that. Funny that my mum thinks I care enough to hate her. I just laugh because this is the most hilarious last message to send to your kid who you haven't spoken to in years. So dramatic. Yeah, trying to guilt trip you into talking to them. Yeah, I feel like we should read something wholesome pretty soon. The next one says, finally went no contact after a fight with my dad. My mum sent me this. Neither of you contact me again. If you show up at my home or work, I will not hesitate to get a restraining order. Okay, we love you and we want you happy. Please pick me up. Everything will be okay. Trust me. We know you've been poisoned with communist thoughts. We'll pray for you. Yeah, okay, that's enough for today. Yeah, time for something wholesome. Definitely. I ordered a burrito to go without any olives. This was on top of the box. No olives. God, that's so cute. Such a small thing too that they didn't even need to do, but it probably would have made this person's day. So cute. Your first workout will be bad. Your first podcast will be bad. Your first speech will be bad. Your first video will be bad. Your first anything will be bad, but you can't make 100 without making your first. Put your ego aside and start. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the top comment says, sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something. Jake the dog. Hell yeah, a wah wah wee wah comic. I missed the sunrise again, didn't I? Yeah. So they lay down and their stomach is the sun. That's so cute. We all need a giraffe friend. Me ordering something. My little siblings playing shop. Oh yeah, that's so awesome. I would like a pizza, please. And on that beautiful note, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading about some more Karens. We're actually on the I Don't Work Here Ladies subreddit because I was thinking that has to be a good subreddit to find Karens. So yeah, I've been searching Karen on I Don't Work Here Lady, and there's a lot we're going to read today. As always, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like and subscribe and let me know down below in the comment section. And with that being said, enjoy guys. A tactical Karening. The Karen gets Karened. I was witness to possibly the most hilarious Karen interaction I've ever seen. In this, I was just an onlooker and I didn't play a part at all. There are 3 players in this dialogue. Kay, the Karen. UC, the nicely dressed but unfortunate customer who Karen decided worked there. And HC, the hilarious customer who, well, it's all become clear. Yesterday in fact, I went to pick up some groceries at Asda, a British company owned by Walmart. Edit until February, but less trashy. As I'm shopping with my trolley, I hear the harumph of an approaching Karen behind me. But to my surprise, she walks straight past me to UC, demanding this, that, and the other, to which UC responds, sorry, but I don't work here. As Karen starts accusing him of lying, I figured that I'll stick around and see what happens. It might be funny, but if she assaults the guy or accuses him of something, I'll be a witness. As I'm listening to UC reiterate that he doesn't work for Asda, and Karen repeatedly accuse him of lying, another customer, HC, comes past and addresses the Karen in a big booming voice. Finally, a manager, he booms at her. Some woman just accused me of not helping her when I'm a customer here. Now what are you gonna do about it? Oh, the irony. Karen turns to HC and says, what? I'm not a manager. What do you... But gets cut off mid-sentence by HC. Of course you're a manager. I've seen you talking to customers. Now you're going to help me. Karen tries to explain that she was talking to UC, who she says works there, but in the confusion, UC had wisely ducked out, leaving Karen saying, I was talking to... As she gestures to an empty space, suddenly she's alone. HC, well, hanging around speaking to staff isn't very professional, is it? You should be doing your job, helping customers, starting with me. Karen then just screams, I don't freaking work here, F off, and walks off, clearly upset, abandoning her shopping trolley. That's a shopping cart to those who live in the States. In the process, UC, who's been waiting on the next aisle, walks back at this point and says, she's gone. Yeah, well, says HC, that got rid of her, smiles vaguely and just continues shopping like nothing happened. HC, whoever you are, you're a legend. That's so funny. You would have been so happy that you stopped to listen to this, OP. Like, oh my god, I could have missed this unbelievably beautiful interaction. That's so awesome. The next one is called I Shut Down a Karen by Being Super Loud. I'm on mobile, yada yada, you know the drill. I left retail a few years ago and I noticed a dramatic improvement in my physical and my mental health, largely due to the reduced contact with the listless cattle that you see in the stores. However, it seems that the customer service vibe never completely washes off, because I was recently accosted in a liquor store by a woman with a jean jacket and the all too familiar haircut that we all know and hate. The particular store in question is part of a chain setup, like a smaller Sam's Club, but the only thing they sell are booze and cigars. Great place to blow a paycheck. I got to leave work a little early due to working some extra hours at the beginning of the week, and I was completely fried. The plan was to grab a craft beer that I'd never tried, and maybe some slightly pricier bourbon and just chill. My work's dress code was flexibly business casual, so I was wearing dress shoes, slacks, and a dark polo, which is regrettably similar to the store's uniform. Only some of the associates wore aprons, and all of them had the store name embroidered on the polos. I was knelt down near the end of the beer aisle when I overhear a woman talking to her boyfriend one row over. They're trying to find a nitro stout, and they aren't seeing it because the aisle they're in sorts by local beer, and the one they want is from out of state, conveniently about 2 shelves over from me. I speak up and I wander around the corner to let them know where I saw it, and they thank me and they ask if I've had it before. We chat briefly about 1 or 2 others that we've had that are pretty similar, but not as good, and then I get back to my browsing, and then I feel a tap on my shoulder. Karen, excuse me, sorry, am I in your way? Karen, no, but can you help me find where the brand of whiskey I'd never heard of stuff is. Me. What kind of liquor is that? Karen. I think it's a whiskey. Okay, do you know if it's a bourbon or an Irish whiskey? Or Karen pulling a mock sad face. I don't, sorry. Me. Well, the whiskies are 3 aisles that way, with the bourbons on the left-hand side and everything else on the right-hand side. Unless it's scotch, which is over here. Karen, aren't you gonna take me there? Me. Sorry, I've got to pick up my own stuff and then get home. There should be somebody around here who knows the selection a bit better. Karen. I can't believe you won't help me. That's really rude. Me. Lady, I don't work here. I just drink a lot. Karen. I want to talk to your manager. Oh my god, why do they never listen? At this point, I was yet unseasoned to the ways of the mid-50s entitled boomer trash, so I shook my head and I turned around to keep looking for my own stuff. I hear a soft, scorned little gasp behind me, and I feel the nails digging into my shoulder. Preface, I'm not a well-adjusted individual. I have a family history of untreated conditions, and I was lucky to get out of primary and secondary school with PTSD and all of my teeth. My bodily autonomy and personal space are very important to me, and while I am patient and understanding in almost every other regard, this is one issue that you don't push with me. The split second between feeling her dig in and realizing what's going on, my brain's RPMs have buried the needle and I'm half a restrained impulse from biting off her manicured princess fingers and gouging out her eyes. I opt instead to take a lesson from our primate cousins in Dragon Ball Z. When crap gets bad, yell to assert your power. Me with a roar so loud it left me hoarse for like 2 days. Get your hands off me. The store goes dead quiet. I grab her hand, wrench it off me and shove her away with both hands. She stumbles and bumps into a shelf but doesn't fall over. She's looking at me the way that a cow looks at an oncoming train. Eyes saucer wide in disbelief and incredulity. The fear not quite managing to take hold yet. She opens her mouth to say something that was probably "how dare you" or something similar, but I'm already frothing at the mouth. Every D&D barbarian player has a rage boner for what my face looks like right now. Me still screaming and stumbling over my words a bit. Never freaking touch me ever. I'll rip your cheap ass in half. Leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Every time it looks like she's gonna interject, I cut her off with another "leave me alone." By now, management and one other associate are booking it over to defuse what they're sure is going to be imminent violence, and by all appearances they're right. My face is red, my body's shaking, and while I'm not that big of a dude, I'm poised for a fight against a comparatively small woman. Manager, so you need to calm down. Me, I am calm. She needs to keep her hands to herself. Karen, he assaulted me. Call the police. Me, not as loud, voice cracking. Go ahead, lady, I'll wait. You started this. Associate, so you need to come with me. Me, I'm buying my beer and I'm leaving. Check your security tape. She came after me first. Karen to the manager, I want him fired. They still think you work there. I told you I don't work here. What the hell's wrong with you? Manager, sir, I told you to calm down. Me, look at this. I pulled my shirt collar over and I showed them where her nails dug in. There's no blood, but it's pretty obvious the marks are fresh and that I didn't do it to myself. Me, you want to get the cops involved? Fine, pull the damn tapes and we'll talk about pressing charges. It seems to have dawned on Karen that she might have messed up. She hasn't said anything. There's a crowd watching us at this point. I see at least one cell phone recording. I turn to a random person standing nearby. Did you see what happened? Young guy. Not all of it, but I saw her holding you and you pushed her away. Me, voice cracking like a teenager. Thank you. At this point, I grab the six-pack I was looking at and I start to leave. Manager, so you need to... Me, I'm leaving. You want to call the cops? I'll wait for you to check the security tapes, but then I'm pressing charges. I walk towards the tills and I set my beer on the counter. The attendant at the desk was looking over my shoulder at the manager, but he must have given her the okay because she scans me out and I leave with my beer. I made it about halfway home before I had to pull over and weep. The adrenaline crash hit me super hard, and I ugly cried for like 5 minutes until I could get enough composure to drive. I didn't go back to that store for a few months. Either they don't remember or it was settled after I left. The moral of the story, embrace your inner howler monkey. Don't give them a chance to think or wind up their usual indignant tirade. Wow, that was so wild. And they still thought you were an employee. That's so unbelievable. And like this comment says, the best way to deal with crazy is to out crazy. Well done. Yeah, how awful. Even if you did work there, imagine thinking you can treat an employee like this. Oh, some people are so bad. Sorry you had to deal with this, OP. The next one is called Karen versus Retail Veteran. Somebody in my friend group keyed me in on this lovely subreddit after they had a good laugh at some of my stories. Over the years, I've grown to loathe people who treat retail employees like garbage, and I go out of my way to make a fool of them, so I'll share one story now. I worked for years in retail before switching careers. I went from dealing with people who asked for items based entirely on what the people in said items commercial were wearing, to teaching children, and this is one story that makes me think the children are by far the smarter breed. For a while I worked as a trainer for a very popular cell phone company. I would often visit carriers and do events for customers and train employees on relevant new features and items, so I was almost always dressed very well. The most dressed down I ever got was a polo, dress pants and dress shoes, because I wanted to give a good and professional impression. However, my style of dress came with the greatest Karen bait known to man, a silver name tag. Beyond the hundreds of times I was mistaken for an employee while at the stores, this story takes place when I went grocery shopping after work one evening. That should be enough background, so on with the story. I finished up later than usual, and I was browsing the groceries for the next couple of days at a semi-supermarket whose logo is a bullseye. I had a cart with several frozen items that my wife loves, some snacks for my son, some dog food for my dog, and various other small things to carry me through. I was browsing some spices, debating on if I had enough of a few kinds to make chili, when I hear a faint noise behind me. I squeeze in a bit closer, trying to make sure that I'm not blocking the aisle. No sense in being rude, right? A second or two go by and my spider sense begins to tingle. And then, dear reader, I hear the dreaded sound that in the retail world is both terrifying and amusing, depending on how far away you're standing. Excuse me? Ah, yes, the mating call of the wild Karen. I turn around to see a specimen of at least 40, trying desperately to be mistaken for her own daughter, in what I can only assume was a pair of yoga pants, furry boots, a shirt that was strategically unbuttoned, and a huge pair of sunglasses acting as a solar panel for her "let me speak to your manager" haircut. My desperate plea for clemency in the form of her own ability to notice a mistake came immediately, as I pushed my cart further away and I swept my arm where I was standing. Sorry, didn't know I was blocking you, but alas, this story would not have made it here if that was all she needed to do. No, Karen did not want to graze the spice rack. She had used her cosmic powers on me without me realizing, because now I was no longer shopping for dinner, I had been granted employment, and Karen was not pleased at my performance so far. No, I need you to help me find some food item I don't want to malign by naming. I'm a smartass by nature, you can tell, and my wife often jokes that I'm paid well to tell people where they can stick it and make them happy to hear it, but these skills are lost on the wild Karen. So is the fact that the store uniform is khaki pants and a red shirt, while I'm in a blue and white dress shirt, dress pants, and wearing a company logo jacket that doesn't remotely look like I'm an employee. I decide to assume that she's perhaps dazzled in bright lights without her solar panel glasses guarding her beady eyes, so I smile and politely say, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." Her eyes narrow, now looking like the shining black of a shark, and the games have now begun. "You're wearing a uniform, don't give me that crap. You can put up that garbage when you're done doing your job." My eyebrow rises and in my head I hear the ringside bell. "Okay, Karen, game on." So in my best, I really don't hope you're run over by a stray water buffalo voice and smile. I say, "What was it you needed help finding, ma'am?" I said ma'am and she didn't like it. "Don't show weakness now, we've only started." But in the same condescending tone she wails, "I need so-and-so item, now show me to it." I nod and I push my buggy along as I head to the back of the store. She doesn't look pleased that I'm bringing the buggy, but if she says anything she does so under her breath, and I know soon enough she'll have plenty to complain about. So I savor the moment where the only sound is the slap of her boots ricocheting off the floor and on the heels of her feet. I walk several aisles. After a dozen she starts to huff and puff and I can hear the faintest grumbling about why it was so hidden away. And why did she have to walk so far? Not directed at me, but I'm not deaf so I can hear her childish tantrums. Thank God she can't see the evil smile on my face. Passing the last row of groceries I hang a left, passing seasonal candies, luggage, travel, etc. She's behind me in such a blurry huff of muttering anger. I don't know if she's questioning the marital status of my parents, the life choices that brought her here, or both, but she's not happy and it sounds more and more like a car that won't start, and less like a person talking to themselves. As we reach the book section, I wheel the cart over and I start down an aisle. Now the Karen is really angry. "Where the hell are you going? I'm looking for this item. If you're too stupid to find it, then maybe I should be talking to your manager." This is drawing a crowd from the nearby electronics section. My plan is working out better than I'd hoped. I stop in front of the small children's section and I grab a thin copy of what's basically a toddler's first spelling book, a few letters playing with a small child on the cover, and a title about learning the first few letters of the alphabet. Perfect. Walking back to the red-faced Karen, I offer the book. I don't say anything, I just extend my arm showing her the cover. Like most people would, she takes the offered book, looks at it, looks at me, and then basically growls, "What the hell is this? Are you freaking stupid? Where's your manager? You're absolutely awful." Her wailing has attracted at least two employees who seem to recognize the whiny wails of the retail native Karen. One is on a small radio, calling who I assume is the manager, while another is coming our way with terror in their eyes that only an entitled middle-aged woman with an attitude problem can cause. With a smile, I gesture to the book in her hands, and I say in the absolute best customer service voice, "Actually, ma'am, I thought since you can't tell the difference between a customer and an employee, you must not be able to read. So I figure this book can help." Stunned, silence. The poor hamster responsible for the complex operation of powering the Karen was working overtime, so when the employee finally makes it to us, they're unaware of what I said, only that I was smiling in a customer service kind of way. Karen was still all mouth agape at what I said. When they tried a polite greeting, "Hello, is there something I can help you with?" Karen was livid. She proceeded to throw the book at me, literally and figuratively, quickly and start screaming. I dodge the book as her house of rage wound up. How dare you talk to me that way? I want this man's manager right now. He needs to be fired. Oh my god, they still think you work there. Oh no, she still didn't get the point. Maybe I should have started with an easier book. Dr. Seuss? Maybe something on tape? She hasn't slowed down, is cussing like a rabid honey badger high on PCP, and somewhere in that string of expletives were words that vaguely made a caveman type sense, mainly short phrases. The employee is trying desperately to put out the fire that is Karen. Her face is so red that I swear smoke is coming out of that horrible dye job, and the distant employee on the walkie is obviously begging for a manager or a priest. I step back away from any flailing pieces and just wait politely, taking a second to text my wife that I was held up and to expect a good story when I got home. Her response, because she knows me, what did you do now? I love that woman. When the manager comes, they must have been out of priest. The woman is pulled to the side and he speaks to her, trying to calm her down. The employee standing near me looks at me and with a bewildered look asks me, what happened? Not wanting to spoil the punchline, I just kind of made a face and softly said, didn't the haircut clue you in? Big mistake. The employee chirps with laughter. He quickly chokes off. I don't think he expected me to know the dorsal plumage of the wild Karen, but Karen has heard the sound and went from slowly lowering to a shrill string of complaining, back to seething anger. Once again, she was all but frothing at the mouth. After another few minutes, the manager gets her to step aside and comes over to talk to me. He begins asking all sorts of questions that she obviously decided to embellish. Why did you call her something that I actually didn't say? Did you throw a book at her? Were you following her? Things like that. Things that could only be claimed with the loosest concept of reality. So, in a pleasant voice, I explained how I was shopping, and she demanded that I show her where an item was, and refused to accept that I didn't work here. This caused the manager to frown as he looked at me. He saw how I was dressed, and I think some light in his eyes actually died, probably realizing he had to actually think worse of humanity than just 5 minutes ago, and it took another piece of his soul with it. I've been there, so I smile and nod as I see him reason out that I was basically kidnapped to find something for this woman, and all the tumblers in his mind seemed to fall into place. He must have seen this type of thing often enough to know what happened, or close enough, but I nod and say, since she can't read and might be colorblind, I got her a book on the alphabet instead. I figure if she knew how to read it, it'd fix all of her problems. She threw the book at me, cussed like a sailor, and wants you to fire me. Maybe I should have got something in crayon. The employee standing nearby is done for. He begins to laugh, hysterically, full-on belly laughs that send him retreating for a door to their back room nearby. Even as he fades from sight, I can still hear the echoes of his laughter. The manager, a seasoned veteran of the retail war it seems, manages to make his initial chuckle sound like a disapproving grumble at the retreating employee, but the way his face scrunched up, I know full well he found it at least reasonably funny. Karen is mad that the employee is laughing, having at least the sense to know that she's the butt of the joke, even if she didn't hear said joke. So score 1 for her situational awareness. So she comes over to us while the manager's poor soul begins to wither inside him. She's in full-on complain mode. Corporate this, I know so-and-so person that. It all sounds like the teacher from Peanuts if you've been in actual retail before. Turning with an admirably straight face, the manager holds up a hand and silences her through his weird Karen charming powers. Ma'am, again her eye twitches, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop harassing other shoppers and keep the volume down. A vein in her forehead begins to leap from the skin and do a little dance as she winds herself up for another tirade. He was the one harassing me. She almost reaches around him, jabbing her $2.99 press-ons at me like the predatory talons she wishes they were. The manager, not happy with basically having her almost try to wrap herself around him to get to me, holds up his hands in a very firm voice and says, ma'am, you need to calm down. If you can't, then I'll have to ask you to leave. The blubbering, incoherent Karenisms that follow don't translate well to text, and if I had thought I could get away with it, I would have recorded it with my phone. As it was, she protested, swore, threatened, and actually raked her arm down a shelf in a tantrum, knocking down almost everything as she screamed at the manager, and that's when I knew what was coming. She wasn't going to be asked to leave. Oh no, at this point she was about to become a captive audience. The manager called for somebody in the clothing department and over walked 2 women, who, God bless them, wrangled the woman and began to escort her out the front. The employee who'd walked away laughing came over and escorted me back to grocery and told me that she was going to be detained and barred from the store. He was in a good mood, except maybe having to clean up her tantrum, and we joked about the vast level of stupid that we've been graced to see. A few minutes later, I checked out and was walking to the door when 2 police officers walked in. Rather annoyed looking, I left with a smile on my face. Moral of the story? Never inflict yourself on random people and assume they have to put up with your BS. You never know when you'll meet the crocodile hunter of Karens. Yeah, like the other post. Don't bloody treat people like this. Oh my god. That was so fun to read. I got so immersed into that story. And yeah, good job, OP. I feel like we should read one more. Karen tries to get me fired and then says she married my gay cousin. For a little backstory, I'm in my junior year, grade 11, and I'm taking an education course which basically teaches you how to be a teacher. teacher. We have to have field experience or practical work. We get sent to a school and put into a classroom to help the teacher. It's a great way to see if teaching is right for you. Well, the classroom I'm currently stationed at is a pretty good one. I know the teacher pretty well because she was my teacher and my brother's teacher when we were younger. This means she trusts me to do a lot more than other teachers probably would. Her class were having a back to school party and the teacher asked if I'd mind getting some sodas the night before and she'd pay me back for them. The reason she asked is because she forgot them. She's old, it happens. Of course, I agree. I go to our local store and I grab these 12-pack of sodas. There are only 24 students in the class, but I wasn't sure what they liked. Plus, the teachers could have what was left over. I decided to also get a few small gifts like candy or small toys as they were cheap. By the time I finished, my cart was pretty full, but I was obviously shopping and not working. As I'm walking to the till, I decided to go ahead and grab some cheap things for me to have for dinner. I stop my cart and I start reaching up on the shelf to grab things. While I'm turned around, a woman starts digging around my cart. I quickly stop her and I ask her, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, aren't you stocking shelves? I'm just taking some of the candy." Well, okay. Now, to be fair, I was still wearing my school uniform, which is pretty similar to the store's. Both are khaki pants and blue polos, but the store shirts have the store's name on the back. I decide to give her the benefit of the doubt and I just say, "No, I'm shopping. I need this candy for school. Please put it back." She starts getting all huffy and says, "You're wearing the uniform? Stop lying or I'll have you fired. My husband is the manager." Now I know she's lying. I know because my cousin is the manager. My cousin is married, but definitely not to her. He's gay. I say, "I know that isn't true. Just give me my candy." I take it back from her and I head to the till. As I'm checking out, I see her complaining to none other than my cousin. I pay and I decide to let her know she was full of crap. I go and give my cousin a big hug and I ask him how his husband was doing. Her face went red and she hurried off. Wow. That's so funny. Hell yeah, OP. That's so awesome. That was so fun to read. It's so awful that people can be like this, but you handled it so well, OP. And on that note, let's read something wholesome. YouTube videos. Me watching videos on how to braid hair just in case my daughter ever asked me to do it. Me today when my daughter asked me to braid her hair. Oh, that's so cute. Congratulations. That's beautiful. And you were prepared. That's so sweet. When he tells you you're the best, but it's actually him who's the best. You put your glasses back on and you face the facts. I'm not the best. You are, okay? Accept it. How my chubby boyfriend feared I'd act when he took his shirt off. How I actually am when he takes anything off. Oh, that's so lovely. Hell yeah. That's so sweet and a beautiful place to end the episode. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. Today we're reading about some more Karens and it's going to be so fun. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today and I hope you're ready for this. As always, if you enjoy, make sure you let me know down below and like and subscribe. And let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. Karen accused me of stealing my own car, tricked a dumb cop into arresting me, and now my car's a wreck because he gave her the keys. I don't really care who believes this, but here's my story. I live in one of those middle of nowhere desert towns where almost everybody knows almost everybody, and it's hot as hell, but dirt cheap to buy a home or land in. And it's not uncommon for old cars to last out here as they almost never rust and people keep fixing them. After high school, I worked my ass off at a local job to get my own place. I ended up buying a small plot of land with a trailer on it off a local guy that decided he was going to move to Texas, and the guy also sold me his Ford Escort prior to that. It was an okay first car, got me around well enough. I still have it too. 10 years have gone by since then, and for a while I spent a lot of my time tinkering with an old 87 Monte Carlo that I bought super cheap as it didn't have an engine or transmission. I love that car as an older cousin of mine had one when I was a kid, and I always wanted one of my own. I spent 2 years fixing up the one I got with some help from friends, and I finished it in 2019. Since the engine was missing, I dropped in a junkyard Chevy 305 V8, and that was connected to a rebuilt 4-speed automatic transmission that had low miles from a totaled car. Then I painted it myself inside a friend's garage with a Harbor Freight sprayer and some GM black single-stage gloss paint and buffed it to a shine, and I finished it up with some gold Monte Carlo decals and some classic moon rims that I bought from a local junkyard and polished up. I also partially redid the interior by replacing the seats and put in a new custom steering wheel. I'm not really a mechanic, but my friends all helped me, and online how-to videos on my smartphone really helped as well. The car was fun to drive and it looked good, and I kept it in good order. That is until this mess went down. Now, I didn't really trust some of the local law enforcement out here before, and this gave me even more reason not to. A lot of the cops around here are barely qualified for the job. They're practically hired with a handshake and just told to play Doom for training. Granted though, many of them are really nice. The sheriff is even kind of a friend of mine, but he's really one of the only competent ones there. Most of the rest don't even really do their jobs well, especially whenever a new one gets hired on. Like a guy that went out of his way to move to my town just to get to be a cop. In this case, he was the nephew of the sheriff. He even brought his own Crown Vic with a loudspeaker to drive around town in. Let's call this guy NC for nephew cop, since he was the sheriff's nephew. Nephew cop and I didn't know each other personally personally yet, but I was aware of him. He was dumb as a rock and high on his own ego. He was like Barney Fife and John Cena had an illegitimate son, because he was a tall, strong-looking man that was always giving people creepy looks, and he patrolled on foot up and down Main Street with a clipboard in hand and a big grin on his face. He also liked to publicly flex his muscles in front of people. One Saturday morning I took my Monte Carlo out to meet a friend, but they ended up bailing because of a last-minute issue with their girlfriend. I thought, meh, no problem, I'll just get some fast food and then go home. I went to the local burger place and I got a meal to go, and as I was walking out of there was a lady outside looking over my car. She was bent over in a very short skirt, and not gonna lie, I enjoyed the view. People would stop here and there to ask me about my car and where I got it. I usually don't mind talking so long as they're polite, though this woman ended up anything but. She was curvy and good looking while wearing a black miniskirt. I'm guessing early to mid 30s or so, not really sure. I asked her if she liked my car. She stood up, took one look at me and snickered. I asked her what was so funny. To get an idea of what I looked like at the time, I was a skinny guy with a scraggly beard and I was wearing a faded AC/DC t-shirt with the sleeves ripped off it, along with some worn out cut off denim shorts and flip-flops. I guess she figured I was poor or something. So she was probably judging my appearance. She looked me up and down in a very obvious way and then said, "There's no way this is your car. You couldn't possibly afford something this nice." Now, I have a tendency to get sarcastic or snide when people make assumptions about me, so I said back, "Oh really, lady? The title's in my name, and these keys right here in my hand say that I'm the owner too." The Karen just glared at me as I put the keys in the lock and I began to open the door. I looked behind her and I noticed a beige 90s Volvo with a missing headlight, and it had out-of-state plates on it parked not too far from me. I put two and two together and I laughed. "Let me guess, lady, that's your car over there?" She started to turn beet red. I laughed and said, "Oh, don't be ashamed. Those things aren't lookers, but they'll run forever." I figured this was over, but as I was opening my door, I suddenly felt her nails digging into my shoulder. She was screeching so loud that my ears were hurting, and before I could turn around, she kicked me between my legs from behind with a high-heeled shoe so hard that I collapsed in agony. And true to my luck, NC drove right up because it heard her screeching from down the street during his noon patrol. As soon as NC was out of his car, the Karen ran to him crying and saying that I was a carjacker that was attempting to take her new car. I wasn't looking at either of them as I was on the ground wincing in a fetal position from the pain. The next thing I heard was NC yelling, "Put your hands behind your back." And then I was pinned down by his knee on my spine and I was forcibly cuffed. I tried telling NC that I knew his uncle and I can prove I'm the real owner of the car, but he called me white trash and told me to shut up. Then he picked my keys up off the ground and actually handed them to the Karen. Then he seemed to do like a hero pose while she gave me a crap-eating grin. No matter what I said, NC wasn't listening to me because he fully believed her. And then I had to see Karen start up my car and drive off with it. My heart sank as I watched it sail down the road with her flipping me off. Then NC took me back to the sheriff's office. I'd hoped his uncle was in, but just my bad luck, he was out to lunch. So NC put me in the cell and told me to keep quiet. I was so pissed, but I knew I wasn't going to make my situation any better, so I waited. And during that time, NC kept giving me looks of contempt. At one time, he walked across the cell with a nightstick, grazing it against each bar, like he was trying to intimidate me. At least an hour went by, and the sheriff finally came in through the door nursing a big gulp, but froze the second he saw me. "OP, what are you doing here?" he asked. I was about to speak when NC jumped in and said, "I caught this lowlife trying to steal a lady's car, so I hauled him in." That's when I finally got my chance to speak and said, "Yeah, only it was my car, the one you know I spent so long fixing up." NC just rolled his eyes and said not to listen to me, but the sheriff silenced him and asked me for my full story. As I tried to tell it, NC was making dismissive looks and kept repeatedly interrupting until the sheriff told him to sit down and shut up. Then when I was finally able to say everything that happened, he was furious. The sheriff laid into NC, who was cowering in a chair like a little boy, and saying that it indeed was my car, and he stupidly gave my keys to a thief that had assaulted me. NC started frantically apologizing and trying to say that he was just trying to help, but the sheriff called him an idiot that just wanted to play hero by saving a damsel in distress, and now the whole department's going to be in hot water for his unlawful arrest and physical assault against me. Then he finally let me out. I got some ice for my crutch and I got taken home. The sheriff and NC went back to the burger restaurant, but the Karen's car was no longer there. They got the CCTV footage from the camera the restaurant had looking outside. It caught everything minus the audio. The Karen came back riding piggyback with a guy on a motorcycle over half an hour from the time she left with my car. She blew him a kiss and then drove off in her Volvo. The sheriff scrambled everyone, even NC, to try and chase her down, but they couldn't find her as she'd already driven out of the county lines. Some phone calls were made to other departments to look for her, and I had to sit at home with an ice pack on my crutch all evening, waiting for news on what happened. A couple of days later, my car was found just a few miles out of town. The Karen had broken all of the windows with what I was assuming was the tire iron, and then put the car in neutral and let it coast down a deep rocky hill, which rolled it into the bottom ditch, which smashed the front end of it and warped the frame. It was completely totaled. I wanted to cry from the sound of metal grinding on rock as the tow truck pulled it back up. NC was there too, and he couldn't even look at me the entire time. My insurance also didn't want to cover the car, so the sheriff's office was made to pay me the value of the Monte Carlo instead, since NC let it happen, which was only about $5,000, though that was honestly close to what I had into it, since I did almost all the work by hand and the help of friends. NC also paid me another $2,000 for my trouble, and said that it was most of his savings. The Karen was caught at a motel a stayed over sometime later, and arrested for soliciting prostitution and drug possession. Grand theft auto was just one of the many things that she was charged with. I got on a video call just to see her in court and testify. She looked like a wreck the whole time because she knew she was screwed, and it wasn't long before she was pronounced guilty. She got 10 years behind bars without any possibility of parole. As for NC, the sheriff all but begged me not to sue him because he was his nephew, and he promised his sister he'd look out for the guy. I'm not a sue-happy person, so I let it go provided NC actually take some sort of course on how to properly do his job, and so the incident was more or less rug swept, and NC was demoted to sitting at a desk all day answering phones, and they would be docking part of his pay until every penny was paid back. He's still regulated to desk duty half of the time these days, and he still avoids me anytime I'm near him. Arguably he's a better cop now though because he's mellowed out. As for me, it took some time, but with help financially I located a replacement Monte Carlo project car, one with a clean title, and it was the same year too. I salvaged as many parts as I could from my old one, and I used it all in the build. The engine and transmission was still good, and somehow so were most of the base parts, and the sheriff personally came by to help my friends and I build the new car in his downtime. It took a year, but now I've got a fresh looking Monte Carlo that looks just like my old one. You'd never know they weren't the same car. I've made sure to have better insurance this time around, and I'll be damned if I ever let a Karen near my car again. Wow, that's so fun to read, and also I feel like we've read it before. It was nearly the end of it before I even realized. I don't know if I've read it on the channel before, but I feel like I have read this before. But yeah, I don't mind reading it again. That was absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, a good way to start the episode. Post number 2 is called Karen doesn't think I'm disabled enough for the handicap spot. I'm on mobile, so I, 24 female, am in the process of finding out if I tore my left ACL or not. During this time, I was given a temporary handicap pass because I'm on crutches and I have a knee brace. This morning I drove to my MRI appointment and I saw an empty handicap spot and I parked there. I shouldn't be walking regularly, but I can at least limp around the car and grab the crutches in the passenger seat. Right before I open the door, some lady approaches me from behind and is all, Miss, you can't park there. I'm not a mean person and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I go, I'm on crutches and I have a pass. Don't worry. This lady with her voice sharpening says, you can clearly walk and I don't see no crutches. So I open the door and I pull one out. For some context, my crutches are decorated with stickers. The lady, whom will now be known as Karen, scoffed and said, that pretty crap ain't real. That's just a decoration. Move your damn car. She pulls out her phone and I assume she's gonna start filming me. I'm not confrontational by any means, but my knee was hurting, I woke up too early, and Karen was probably about to blast me on Facebook, so I responded, film and this crutch will be up your ass. I'm not sure what happened next as I turned around and hobbled off. I was so upset I forgot my other crutch in the car. Oh, that's so awful, OP. It sucks that people can be like this, and they have no reason to be acting like this. It's so frustrating, but it's also sad. Like, if they're treating you like this, they almost definitely do that to a lot of other people. Some people are just walking around being a nuisance. Yeah, sorry you had to deal with that, OP. Just a bit of a warning for the next one, guys. They do talk about a car accident in this, and it's pretty unsettling. So yeah, there'll be timestamps on the video if you want to skip it. Post number 3 is called Karen demands we let her through a fatal crime scene. Okay, so I'll start by saying that this story is from about 5 years ago, and my therapist mentioned it in passing as it was something I'd spoken with her about years ago regarding my PTSD. I figured it's finally time to post this gem of a woman story. It's around 11 PM on a Saturday night, and I'm sitting at home just getting ready to go to bed. I'm an on-call tow truck operator, and I figure I'll be going out early the next morning. Right as my head hit the pillow, my Nextel-style two-way radio chirped, and a dispatcher goes, "Hey, OP, are you still awake?" "Yeah, I'm up." "Good, we've got a one-car accident in the next town over. PD wants it expedited, so please hurry, but be safe." 10-4, I'm out the door. After a roughly 20-minute drive, I'm headed out of this small town looking for the accident, and I see it. The coroner and forensics vans were parked in the road, amongst a dozen squad cars. A typical one-car accident has one officer sitting with it for paperwork reasons, with the tow operator. Obviously, I know things just got a lot darker than I'd originally been told. Sparing the gory details, what had happened was 6 kids between 17 and 20 had been in an SUV while driving drunk, and only the driver had a seatbelt on. The vehicle swerved off the road and the driver went to correct. However, 1, he overcorrected, and number 2, the road on that side had about an 8-inch lip, which made it extremely rough of a transition to pull a vehicle back onto the road. As it came back on the road, the driver fishtailed, trying to correct back in the other direction and again overcorrecting. This sent the vehicle rolling down the road in and out of the 4-foot drainage ditch next next to the road. All 5 passengers were ejected and they died on the scene. One of the passengers was trapped under the SUV that came to a rest in the ditch on its roof. The other passengers were strewn across the road with sheets over them. I set up my Peterbilt rollback at a 70-degree angle across the 2-lane road, and I start to work with forensics and the coroner to remove the vehicle from the ditch, as well as to preserve as much evidence as possible. No sooner than I get this winch tight on my truck do I hear a frantic beeping of a car horn. I turn around and directly behind me is a woman who looks to be in her early 40s, who's now just holding the horn down, letting it blare non-stop as she's yelling out of her window. Oh god. I ignore her and I turn around to go back to this delicate job I'm in the middle of, wondering how Karen had got past the police roadblock that was roughly a third of a mile up the road at the nearest intersection to keep traffic out of the area. As I'm slowly maneuvering this 8,000-pound vehicle from the roof onto its side, the honking stops. Maybe 8 seconds later, I feel a hand grab my shoulder and attempt to spin me around. I'm 6'3", 280 pounds, so there's absolutely no way this 40-something, 5-ish, 160-pound woman is achieving this goal. I let out a sigh as I stopped winching on the vehicle and I looked at the sky with my eyes asking every god I can for the strength to not headbutt this biatch. I turn around and attempt to say, "Ma'am, the road is closed due to a fatal accident." Karen cutting me off. "I don't care what you have to say, just get out of my way, I'm late." Me, extremely annoyed now and talking over Karen's continued complaints. "Listen, biatch, 5 people just died here and there's absolutely no way anybody is driving down this road for hours. I suggest turning around and driving back through the police roadblock you somehow got around now." Karen opening with that line that we've all heard 1,000 times. "Excuse me, I live right here," points back behind her vehicle, "and I have to use this road to get to where I'm going. You will move your truck now or I'm calling the police." By this time, the forensics crew had heard all the yelling over the loudness of my truck idled up, and the PTO engaged and walked over. Forensics crews don't dress like police, especially in the middle of the night on the weekends. They're dressed in plain clothes but carrying a badge on them, and they'll put on a hazmat suit if needed. None were needed on this scene yet, just gloves and such. Karen, "Which one of you is the manager? This man won't move his goddamn truck and let me through. I'm calling the police," is actually holding the phone to the side of her head and talking to what we would later find out was 911. Forensic officer, "Ma'am, I am the police." Karen, "I don't want to hear any more goddamn excuses. Move the freaking truck now." Clapping between each word. Ugh. Right when you think they can't get any more awful, they do. Me, "You dumb biatch, do your 2 remaining brain cells constantly compete for 3rd place?" Forensics officer, stifling a chuckle, "Ma'am, if you don't get in your car and leave this crime scene, you will be arrested." Just as the FO finished saying this, a squad car came screaming down the road from the same direction Karen came from and stopped behind her vehicle. The officer hopped out of his car and the very first words he said were Karen's Miranda rights. Karen screamed, kicked and swore that everybody else should be arrested and even tried to spit on me, which caused her to catch a tampering with evidence charge as we're on an active crime scene. By the time it was all done, her other charges were obstruction, assault on an officer, misuse of 911, and interfering with an investigation. She took a deal that netted her 18 weekends in the county jail. However, I did tow her car as well. Monday morning I met her husband and he couldn't have been more embarrassed as he apologized over and over as he paid me and then inspected the vehicle and signed off that we didn't damage it. The impound cost roughly $600 as it was police initiated, after hours and storage. Charges were $150 impound, $50 after hours, $52 a day storage, and $5 a mile each direction from our office. Our office was roughly 15 to 17 miles away. Oh, that was so awful. I thought I'd read about the worst Karens, but this one was so much worse than the stuff that we've read. Yeah, like this comment says, "As a police dispatcher who deals with some degree of a Karen every single day, I'd like for you to know, you are my hero. Also, my heart is with you for the struggles that come from situations like this. Keep taking care of yourself." And OP said, "The sheer lack of awareness and main character syndrome that woman displayed still baffles me. I'm doing well with the PTSD from the many accidents of this caliber that I've worked with, but I still can't wrap my head around somebody like this. Thank you for your kind words." Yeah, that was revolting, and more revolting than the stuff that we usually read. Ugh. Once again, I'm sorry you had to deal with that, OP. Post number 4 is called "Entitled Karen Pushes a Teenage Girl Trying to Do Her Job." This happened at work today. I work part-time at a popular clothing store in my country. The customers are usually entitled women who come and spend their husband's money, and their whole personality is that they're rich. It's a sort of type of women here. They have those huge plumped up lips from fillers, often a dead giveaway of how they act, and they're so used to people kissing their butts that whenever somebody doesn't, they make a scene. Me and a group of girls were working at the changing rooms, and a procedure we have there is to ask people how many things they're bringing in, and to ask them to press their bag onto a sensor to detect if they have something from the store in their bags. This woman with a biatchy attitude and the already mentioned huge lips just walks by the station and nonchalantly starts heading for the changing rooms. We've all been sick of entitled people for the whole day. So one of the girls shouts out to her and the conversation goes as follows. Girl, excuse me ma'am, how many things do you have on you? Entitled Karen, come and count them in a rude tone. Girl, who is already super annoyed. Alright, I will. We're all a little flabbergasted by this already, and the girl starts to follow the woman. A few seconds later, the girl comes back all riled up and talks into the walkie-talkie. Can the manager and security guard come to the women's changing room right away? We all stare at her shocked and ask her what happened. She tells us that she came up to her changing room where the woman had already placed her things in, and she was about to head in. The woman pushed her and started cursing her out. She told her she would be calling security, and the woman replied that she will call the manager. The girl answered that there's no need because she'll be calling her. In short, the manager shows up and she tells us that the woman is a friend of the director of the entire store. Mind you, this place is huge and it brings in a lot of money, and that we should let it go as to not cause any problems. We were told that whenever she comes in, we're supposed to ignore the protocol and just let her pass with no questions asked. How ridiculous. In the end, the girl was told to go take a walk and come back in 15 minutes so the woman will finish and leave. No satisfying resolution, but there was nothing we could have done. Yeah, like the top comment says. What the absolute F? Yeah, what? That's so bad. Like, oh no, just ignore it. Just ignore them being a tantrum-throwing entitled child. That's a fully grown adult that's acting like this. Embarrassing. Yeah, what? Yeah, let's read one more, guys. Post number 5 is called French Karen is upset that I speak English in England. Accidentally posted this in EntitledParents, so I'm posting it here instead. Long time lurker, first time poster. I work at a company that has over 300 sites globally. I work in the only plant in the UK. We have 22 people working here. I was asked to join a call with our other European sites, as I also speak German fluently and can understand and speak Italian to a level about the industry I work in. So we have this call and we have English, me, Greek, Turkish, Romanian, Italian, German, Spanish and French on the meeting. Everyone's plant has management and can all speak English. Italian and German is broken English, hence why it's easier for me to be on it and translate if they struggle understanding anything. So we go about the meeting and German starts talking to me in German. I'm translating and it's going well. We all know each other well, as we often visit each other's plants. Apart from France, they have a new woman, Karen, who keeps on trying to be the center of attention. She's been speaking fluent English all through the call so far. I'm translating for German and Italian. It's going well. Until Karen starts speaking French. I told her I don't know French. It's already confusing enough with 3 languages. The conversation goes as follows. Karen, what do you mean? You're the translator? Me, no, I'm a chemist. I know German fluently and Italian to a level that it's relevant to this call. Karen, well, why are you making me speak a second language but learning everybody else's? Me, I'm doing the company a favor, otherwise they'd have to get a translator. Karen, oh, I get it. It's because I'm new and a woman. Me, I'm also a woman. No, I just never learnt French. Karen, oh, so it's a race thing now? Me, you speak English. You don't need to be translated or it to be all about you. Karen hung up. The next day reported me to HR for racism and bullying. I don't think she realized that the call was recorded, so I sent a copy to HR. Unfortunately, at my company, you have a 6-month probation. This happened at 3 months of her being here, and throwing out stupid accusations like this means you're probably not gonna make it. Yeah, well, being an a-hole for no reason. We read about that a lot, don't we, guys? Yeah, that's enough for today. Let's read something that isn't frustrating. My wife. Ah, I hate the way I look. I look like a potato. How I see ya. Aww. That's so cute. You're versatile and delicious. This grandpa got a cochlear implant tattoo to match his grandson. Oh, that's also so cute. What a legend. That's so sweet. And obviously, they don't have to do that. Such a thoughtful thing to do. And yet they're always gonna have it. Wow, that's so cool. Finally got his own room. Wow, that's so beautiful. And they look so happy. And sitting on their little rug. Beautiful little kitty cat. Oh, this cat's on the pillow. That's even more cute. Good wholesome memes today. Take a moment to appreciate their sleeping hamster pancakes. No way, they can't be real, can they? Are they real? Why are they so flat? That's amazing and a beautiful place to end today's episode. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure you like and subscribe. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading about some more entitled parents. We've done the entitled people and the entitled Karens. Now it's the parents' turn. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you let me know in the comment section and make sure you like and subscribe. Enjoy, guys. My mum wants to keep my money safe. I just got a nice sum of money from a lawsuit. I got hit by a car. Oh God. And now my mum wants to keep all of it because she doesn't trust me. Nah. Red flag OP. I'm 18. I've been saving up to move out and I want to use the $20,000 to pay rent in a new city. My mum's trying every trick in the book to make sure that that money goes to her and not me. Calling the lawyer, questioning my competence, explaining she has the better bank, etc. She keeps insisting I'm going to go on a shopping spree spree with it all, even though that's what I'm sure she'll do with it. It's so frustrating because she won't let up, and I just need to know how to get her to leave me alone. Should I let her take some of the money and hope she's honest about putting it in savings? No, definitely not, OP. Edit, thank you for the advice, everybody. So I've decided to go to a financial advisor on how best to save and invest it. I will not be touching the money for rent or anything. I told my mum her plan and she was pissed. I told her I wasn't giving any to her and she said we'll see about that. Don't worry though, I have no fears about her getting to it. She was never attached to my bank in the first place, not to the account, and she goes to a different bank. She used to steal my checks, face palm, while I wanted to get out of this house as soon as possible, and I had hoped the money would be my golden ticket out of here. I will be saving up until school starts in the fall. You guys were right about how if I used it for rent, it'll be gone and I might be screwed. Thank you all. Yeah, good job, OP. That sounds good. I'm so happy you're not letting your mum touch it. There's no reason your mum should have any of it. And yeah, thankfully she can't get access to it. And also, it doesn't matter how much money it is. Like, even if it was way more money, it's still not your mum's money, ever. Yeah, good job for not giving in, OP. Should I keep putting my foot down against my mum who wants to track my phone? Yeah, definitely. I, female 28, have a very overprotective mum. I also travel a lot for work. My job had me coming into town so my mum could see me. I had a meeting after at the time and I said I was done and I texted her. She kept on calling me during the whole meeting, despite me sending a message that I couldn't talk because I was in a meeting. When I'm finally done and about to call her, another co-worker tells me that my mum is looking for me. She had come down to the place where I was working, wandering outside looking for me. When I called her, she said she was in tears and worried over me. The next day, she asked me if she can install an app to track my cell phone. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable with that and I'd hoped that she'd leave it at that, but she kept on pushing it until I said no, and she keeps trying to coax me into getting it, saying things like I'll use it for emergencies. I said that was a pretty slippery slope, and I know her, and it's going to reach a point where just emergencies turn into full-blown tracking my every movement. She also argued that she's getting better at not being so protective because she was going to therapy, and I told her how about she asks her therapist what they think about her tracking me. At this point, she keeps on bringing it up, and I'm growing tired. I'm wondering if I should give in and put an end to the harassment, but at the same time, I feel like that's enabling her. I don't know what to do anymore to put an end to this. No, you're completely right, OP. You're 28. There's no reason that your mum needs to track you, ever. It's such a load of crap too, the whole emergency thing. Like, that's not going to be for emergencies. I don't know anybody who lets their mum track them. It's not necessary. And yeah, it definitely would be enabling her. Like this comment says, no is a complete sentence. Do not give in. She's not going to get better if you let her have her way. You told her you were busy, but she still tracked you down. This is not overprotective. This is obsessive. If you can, contact her therapist and let them know what she's doing, because I can almost guarantee that she's not being honest with them. Yeah, you're doing the right thing, OP. It'll only get worse if she can track you. The next one is called My 21 Female Friend, 19 Female. Decided to double book our kid's birthday. My friend and I have children who were born pretty close together. Last year they celebrated with a joint birthday party, but this year we decided to let them have their own special day. My friend, let's call her Kate, not her actual name, confirmed that her child's birthday would be on the 5th of the month and it would be a dinosaur theme. I took that into account and I did a completely opposite theme for my child to ensure that they could have their own birthday fun, etc. Anyway, I decided to book my child's birthday party for the 9th of the month as it was the best for us and it meant that my child's friend would be able to make it. Before I created or sent out any invites, I called up Kate and I asked her to confirm her child's party date and double check that our date wasn't going to clash. This was discussed multiple times over the phone and in person. Well, I've come to find out that she has changed the date to the day of my child's party. Her excuse being that she wasn't aware of the date, even though she has a physical invite and does seem to be acknowledging it in every conversation regarding the party, and she's refusing to change the date as it's the date that works best for me and my son. I feel as though it was done on purpose and I'm upset that my child was not considered when she did this, like hers was. I booked that date out first and she knew it. I'm unable to move my child's party as we won't be around for the 10th and it's also a school week. We also wanted to be able to have her actual birthday as a family day without stress of other children running around. This is the 3rd time she's changed the date. Each time it got closer to the 9th. Am I the entitled parent here? Edit, thank you all for the advice. I'll be letting her know that we can't be friends if she's going to continue to be immature. Hell yeah, OP. A couple of pointers. Yes, I am young. No, she was not a mistake. Yes, I am perfectly capable of being a parent and still being alive and well. Not everybody is cut out for parenting from a young age, but some people manage totally fine. Yes, I have had the time to look after my child and make this post. Having children doesn't mean I have to be completely tied down all the time. My child naps, guys. I can find time. Yeah, no, you definitely weren't in the wrong here, OP. This comment said, no, you're not the entitled parent. And why are you still friends with her again? And OP said, our kids are pretty close. I feel obligated to keep the friendship for their sake. So yeah, there you go. They're not much of of a friend anyway. Yeah, you're doing the right thing, OP. Letting her know that she's being immature is definitely a good move. The next one says, is it normal for a parent to set a bedtime at 24 years old? Recently, my mother's been setting bed curfews for me to go to bed at 11. I thought it was because I was making noise. However, I've come to realize that even if I'm not making any noise at all, like watching Netflix with headphones on, not even touching my keyboard, she'll come up into my room and have an argument with me, saying that I've woken her up. If I respond by saying I've made literally no noise, she always says, well, there's a light under your door, so you're still awake. However, it's not consistent. She's a light sleeper, so a cat or an animal making a noise outside will wake her up, but she decides to come to my room and blame it on me. I'm not sure if this is a control thing, but I'm wondering if anybody else has had a similar experience. Edit, I should have stated this before, but I lived by myself for 3 years doing college. I've only moved back in with my mum for around a year now due to financial reasons, and I'm planning to move out again with friends. Also, for some added info, I do pay rent and I have a part-time job. Yeah, it's 100% about control, OP. We've read similar ones to this before, and they're all pretty much the same. Like the top comment says, this is about control. You're 24. Start making plans and saving money to move out. See if you can move in with a trusted friend or relative while you go to school and work, or work 2 jobs to get independent. And OP said, I've started to make some plans with some friends to move out. Hell yeah, OP. I love when these have a little bit of a happy ending. Well, maybe not happy ending, but OP knows what to do, and that's good. All the best with it, OP. The next one is called Crazy Karen knocked on my friend's door because her daughter wasn't invited to a play date. To be fair, this happened years ago, but I want to share it. EM is entitled mum and D is daughter. D was in my kindergarten class and a couple more throughout my elementary years. She was an odd child, obviously autistic, which I don't blame her for at all. She always threw screeching fits, threw things, etc. Soon it became obvious that the mum was a big part of the problem. Entitled mum, blonde hair, absolutely huge, not in a rude way, and scary. That's how I remember her as a first grader. She had this mindset that everybody should want to be friends with her daughter, and if they didn't, F them. She just ended up sabotaging the poor girl. I had a mutual friend with D, this other autistic girl. Oh, she's a sweetheart. Still on good terms with her today. Anyway, me and her had a play date one time, and during our hangout, my mum snapped some pictures. Her mistake was posting them on Facebook. Entitled mum comes storming up to mutual friend's house. Enraged after seeing the pictures, she knocks at the door and says, is there a play date that we weren't invited to? And the rest is history. Another time I remember EM, this grown-ass woman coming up to first grade me and my first grade friend and demanding that we stop what we're doing and go with D to the slides. D pipes in, influenced by her mum, saying, ball time is over. We were playing tetherball. We politely explained that we were in the middle of a game, but D could join us if she pleased. No, we were being selfish 7-year-olds, and it's all we can do to go to the slides with D, who isn't even our friend. I think by the end of this incident, she ran off crying. I hope the daughter is doing better now. I do. Man, that mum is and was a nightmare. She tried to force people to be her daughter's friend, and then just scared them off. Wow, that's hilarious in such a bad way. Like, not funny, but really concerning. Hilarious that they even feel like they can say stuff like that. But yeah, that's bloody awful, OP. Feel sorry for the daughter. Imagine having to deal with a mum like that. Yeah, no thanks. The next one is an update to a post that we read 4 months ago called Am I the A-hole for refusing to change my daughter's clothes at a birthday party? I'll play that post now before the update so it makes sense. You can skip to this part of the video for the update, guys. The next one is called Am I the A-hole for refusing to change my daughter's clothes at a birthday party? I, 34 female, have 2 kids, 8 male and 4 female. My daughter's name is Aurora. My husband, 36 male, and I chose that name because it was slightly similar to my late father-in-law's and worked well with our last names. It had nothing to do with the princess from Sleeping Beauty. In spite of that, we've had fun with that movie in the past, and ever since my daughter realized that she shared names with a Disney character, Princess Aurora has been her favorite. Our family went to Disney World in July, and while there, we bought my daughter a Princess Aurora costume. She adores it and wears it whenever she has the chance. 2 weeks ago, one of Aurora's friends at school held a princess-themed birthday party. She encouraged her friends to wear costumes. My daughter wanted to go as her favorite character, which didn't surprise me at all. When we got to the party, the birthday girl came to greet my daughter, and she was also dressed as Princess Aurora. I didn't know what her costume was going to be prior to the party. I got worried for a second, but the birthday girl was actually really excited. She said that they look like twins. It was adorable. They ran off to play, and I forgot about the costumes for a while. About 30 minutes into the party, I was at a table. Okay, so let me guess. It's going to be a problem with their mum. About 30 minutes into the party, I was at a table with some of the other mums when the birthday girl's mum came up to me. She asked if I'd brought any spare clothes for Aurora. I said yes. I always bring an extra shirt and shorts for her. She then asked me to change my daughter into the spare clothes and out of her costume. Oh my god, how dare they? Their daughter, the birthday girl, is happy that they're wearing the same costume. Oh, the mum's making an issue out of nothing. The mother explained that that she'd hired a photographer to walk around taking pictures of the kids and was also planning on getting a group photo near the end of the party. She didn't want anyone wearing the same costume as her daughter in these pictures. Whose party is this, you know? Is it your daughter's party or is it your party? Sorry, this is so annoying. This party is about their daughter. Their daughter is happy that their friend is wearing the same costume. The mum is the only one that has a problem with this. She didn't want anyone wearing the same costume as her daughter in these pictures. She also thought that her daughter might get jealous since my kids get to share her name with her favorite princess. Now, if the birthday girl was the one who had a problem, I might have considered changing Aurora into her spare clothes. But no, she was genuinely excited they were dressed the same. It also didn't feel fair to force my daughter to be the only one without a costume in a party full of children in princess dresses. I said no, and I explained my reasoning to the girl's mum. She insisted for a few minutes, but I held my ground. Some of the other mums started to back me up, and she eventually got up and left. When I went to pick up my kids earlier this week, I ran into her friend's mum. She accused me of ruining her daughter's party. Oh, get out of here. By allowing Aurora to wear the same costume as her, she told me she doesn't think she'll ever be able to look at the pictures without being disgusted by my behavior. I thought she was exaggerating, but I'm starting to doubt myself. Our conflict has found its way to the mum group chat that we're both in, and opinions over there are divided. Some think that having two girls wear the same costume is no big deal. Others think I should have changed my daughter's clothes. Am I the a-hole? Do they not realize that what they think doesn't even matter in this situation? And also that applies to the other mums as well. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. What does matter is the birthday girl's opinion, and the girl whose birthday it was super happy about it. And also, did the mum even go and ask their daughter if they were happy about it or not? Yeah, no, you're definitely not the a-hole. They're creating a problem out of thin air that doesn't even need to happen. Yeah, like the top comment says, now if the birthday girl was the one who had a problem, I might have considered changing Aurora into her spare clothes. But no, she was genuinely excited they were dressed the same. It also didn't feel fair to force my daughter to be the only one without a costume in a party full of children in princess dresses. This is it right here. It's the little girl's special day. If she was bummed and wanted to be the only Princess Aurora, understandable to a point, and maybe just let her have what she wants on her birthday. An entitled mum who just has to have pictures a certain way, get banned. She accused me of ruining her daughter's party by allowing Aurora to wear the same costume as her. She told me that she doesn't think she'll ever be able to look at the pictures without being disgusted by my behavior. Laughing my ass off. Imagine prioritizing some photos over your daughter's good time at a birthday party. Parents suck, not the a-hole. Yeah, 100%. They were only thinking about themselves and creating a problem that isn't even there. Another mum tried to make me change my daughter's clothes at a birthday party. Update. Hey everyone, thank you for assuring me that I did the right thing. This might get a little long. Since my post on Thursday, 2 days after the mum group started debating, 3 things have happened. Also, I'm sorry that I'm reading this 4 months later. Number 1, on Friday my husband went to pick up the kids. The parents of one of my son's friends, who have a younger son in my daughter's class, asked if he knew about the costume fiasco, or as my friends are calling it, Aurora Gate. I had told him everything. He said the birthday girl's mother was being ridiculous, as I had no idea what her daughter's costume would be. The mum he was talking to asked, wait, she didn't know? She called me and I told her my side. Turns out that BJ's mum told people that I'd been informed about the costume, and to avoid dressing Aurora the same, weeks prior to the party. The story was warped before it even got to the group chat. My side of the story made it to the group chat. After some pressure, BJ's mum eventually confessed that she had lied to me. Most of the other mums had apologized to me Sunday. Also, apologizing to us on Sunday were BJ's father and maternal grandmother. She's visiting them for a few weeks. Apparently, BJ's mum had been complaining about the party almost daily. Since they got the photos back, BJ's mum has been insisting that there isn't a single good picture of her daughter without another girl wearing the same costume. Aurora and BJ were playing together most of the party. She was especially upset about the group photo, which shows BJ in the center and my daughter to her right. There are 2 girls between them, but she still thinks they're too close to each other. BJ's dad had been listening to these complaints since the party. He told us that unless his daughter was in the room, he couldn't look at the pictures without his wife making a comment about me or my daughter or how we ruined BJ's birthday. It came to a head on Saturday while talking with the grandmother after BJ went to bed. The mother said she no longer wanted to make a photo album of the party. They'd gotten a photographer for both album and social media purposes. Both BJ's dad and her grandmother wanted the album. The 3 had a fight that lasted about 15 minutes before the grandmother told BJ's mum to stop obsessing over her daughter's friend. She said all that matters is that BJ had fun, and all of the photos reflect that. Yeah, 100%. They told us all that when they called to apologize. They wanted BJ's mum to apologize too, and she hasn't. Aurora came home from school yesterday wearing a headband with her name and a rose embroidered onto it. BJ had her grandmother make it for her. Me and my husband are still in contact with the birthday girl's father, and we're trying to set up a play date for the girls next week. Also, there are some things I want to clarify about my previous post. My daughter and the birthday birthday girl aren't physically similar. Aurora has wavy brown hair, BG has straight blonde hair. We're all Caucasian, but my daughter is more tan. Their dresses weren't the exact same. I posted the links to my daughter's costume and one that's similar to the birthday girl's dress in a comment on my last post. The party was held at a kids' party venue, not the birthday girl's place. There were 19 girls and a toddler at the party. All were in costume. There were a few boys, but they were older. I'm guessing they were related to the birthday girl. I was never friends with the birthday girl's mum. Her request at the party was probably the third time we ever talked, and the first that wasn't about the weather. The birthday girl's mother didn't want me to change my daughter's clothes just for the group photo at the end. She wanted me to change her 30 minutes into the party for all the pictures. Wow, that's so bad. I mentioned in a comment that if the birthday girl had a problem with my daughter's costume, I might be willing to drive home and change Aurora into her Marita dress, her second favorite, and then return to the party. But I want to stress, I'd only do that if the birthday girl was upset, not if her mother was annoyed half an hour later. By then, my daughter was already playing with BG and her friends. To those who said I could change Aurora at the party and or use this as a teaching moment, I'm gonna assume that you've never met a 4-year-old. My daughter is kind-hearted and would definitely do it to make her friend happy, but she'd still view this as punishment. It's also cruel to take a child away from a party and tell them they can no longer play princess with their friends. I refuse to alienate or upset my daughter when she's done nothing wrong. I absolutely don't regret my decision. And that's it. Once again, thank you all. Yeah, and you absolutely should not regret it, OP. Even though I'm reading the update super late, I still remember how frustrating that post was, and the way the mum reacted was so awful. Yeah, like this comment says, I just hope the birthday girl wasn't exposed to that behavior from her mum. It really would have sucked because she actually had fun and didn't mind. And OP said, according to her dad, none of her mother's complaints were made within her earshot. Yeah, I was worried about that too, but that's good at least. The next one is called Mum Kidnapped Our Kids and said that she didn't know it was against the rules. So my wife and I have 2 kids, a nearly 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. We want to cruise to the Bahamas for 2, meaning the kids couldn't go. My mother volunteers to watch the kids. Great, it's all settled. We're gonna get away for a week and have some time for ourselves. As the date approaches, Mum starts talking about having the kids at her house for the week. We told her we were under the impression that she was gonna be at our house. All the kids' stuff is there. Our home is a single story and easy to track the kids in. It's significantly closer to all of their doctors for emergencies. We're talking 20 minutes versus an hour and a half. And our house is baby-proofed and hers isn't. So we said we really felt that they should be at our house, and if that didn't work for her, that we'd make other arrangements. She said our house was fine, but days later says that she'd like to be at her house because my siblings who still live with her could help watch the kids. These are the same siblings who were told needed to be instructed on how to be nice to toddlers, which is why we weren't invited to Thanksgiving. No thanks, we'll get you support through our own channels, people you know and like who can pop in to get you relief and help out. We leave for our trip, though as we're showing Mum where everything is and going over food and snacks, she's more interested in playing with the kids than learning where the diapers are. So day 1 on the boat, my wife uses the boat's internet to do a video call to check on the kids. All seems okay, but my mother tells me not to call again for the rest of the trip because it may upset the children. My wife doesn't tell me about that part of their convo right away, but as soon as she does, we call her back. When she answers, she's at her house with the kids, and you can see brand new kids apparel and paraphernalia in the background. I asked her what happened, and she tells me that she was really sick and thinks she got neurovirus. What the hell? Super nauseous. It was all she could do to call her brother, who lives about 5 minutes from me, to have him pack the kids in my wife's car and drive an hour and a half to her house. So you were so sick that you couldn't watch the kids, but you could drive home in a car that wasn't yours and endanger kids that aren't yours in an event that you pass out or spontaneously start vomiting while on the freeway, potentially killing our children. Why didn't you call the list of people who said they'd come and help? They'd set aside part of their weeks to come out and support with their time and money. Do they even know the kids aren't home? Do you know one person is staying in a hotel to be 10 minutes away from you in case of an emergency? Now they're an hour and a half from home and none the wiser for what's happening. The first thing she says is that she really was sick. I never accused her of not being sick. I doubted it, but I never said it. Then she tells me how dare I judge her for her decisions, and she doesn't have to justify herself to me, and that she doesn't have to watch my kids. I told her to pack my kids up in the car and take them home. Somebody else was going to watch them. When she dropped the kids off, she was nasty to the new caretakers and sulked. As soon as I knew the kids were safe, I sent her a message saying that she clearly didn't respect us as parents. Doesn't matter how many kids she raised, these are ours, and she sure as hell needed to justify herself and check in with us if she was too sick to do her job. We have the right to know what's going on with our kids, and any sane person would call and ask what we wanted them to do before packing the kids up and taking them away. If the roles were reversed, she would have absolutely lost her mind. And I know because I've seen it, and that she didn't need to see the kids again if she was going to go that far out of her way to undermine us and then act like a spoiled child to the family and friends when she gets caught. Then the next day she replied to the message saying that she didn't realize she did anything that was that far out of expected parameters. Yeah, her words. words, and that she recognized that parents had their own rules and that she would have to learn ours. Never did anything resembling sorry come across in that message or any other. We blocked her on social media and we haven't spoken to her since. Whoa, that's so wild. I don't know what to say. I have nothing to say. We need to read something wholesome so soon, as in like right now. You did the right thing, OP, and it sounds like you handled it super well. That's enough entitled parents for today. Froggy's here. Don't be sad. Things will be okay. Ah, finally. Beautiful little Froggy's here. Everything feels okay now. The stuff that we read is so infuriating or concerning or upsetting. We needed something wholesome. I walked into my kitchen and I had the strangest feeling that I was being watched. Wow, is that real? That's so cute. And also kind of unsettling at the same time. Like, you're adorable, but please stop doing that. This is your reminder that you've made it through everything you didn't think you were strong enough to get through. Yeah, damn right. And that's such a good reminder too. Hell yeah, that was by Little Sunny Doodles. Love isn't just the good days. It's the sick days, the grumpy days, and the sad days too. Yeah, that's so true and so beautiful. It's a beautiful day today and we're reading about some more entitled people. We read about some entitled Karens yesterday and that was so fun. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. But today we're reading about some more entitled people, which is pretty much the same. And let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. I got called a creep for ordering the same food as an entitled woman. I, 27 male, and my wife, 30 female, were running a couple of errands on my day off, and as is customary being humans that are alive and possessing a functioning stomach, we got hungry. I took a quick detour to a well-known Chinese food chain because I was in the mood for some orange chicken. My wife stayed in the car while I ran in to grab the food. There weren't very many people inside, and I was like, sweet, I should be in and out of here pretty quick. Little did I know that one of the three people standing in front of me was a Karen. There was a couple in front of me that looked like they were in their early 20s, and a man ahead of them who looked like he was in his late 20s. The girl was reasonably attractive and dressed in pajamas. Definitely not the kind of look you'd normally see with a Karen, which is why I was so thrown off by what she said to me. The two guys ordered their food without incident. Now, when the girl orders her food, I notice she happens to be ordering the exact same thing that I want to order. Crazy, I know. When the staff member asks me what I want, I order the same. The girl, hearing what I ordered, looks back at me with the most disgusted look on her face and says, "I have a boyfriend, you creep." What? Because what? That means you're interested in them because you ordered the same food? Delusional. Are you trying to get with me or something? Before I can even get a word in edgewise, she walks off in a huff to join her boyfriend at the till. She continues to glare at me once or twice while her boyfriend rolls his eyes and finishes paying. Both me and the staff member look at each other thinking, did she really just say that? Then the nice middle-aged Chinese woman serving me says to me, "I'll give you a little extra chicken." I turn back to her and say, "Thanks, my wife will really appreciate that. Can I get an order of orange chicken too for myself?" OP, that is so wild. I don't know what that really says about a person, that if somebody else orders the same food as them, they think that they're interested in them. I don't know, but it's definitely not good. Like, get over yourself. Oh my god. And it's one of those situations where you don't even know what to say. Like, how the hell do you even respond to that? Besides completely ignoring them and not saying a word and pretending they don't even exist. I feel like that's the right move. But besides that, what would you even say? That's hilarious. The next one is called Friend's Dad Keeps Opening My Packages. I'm male 19, have been living with my friend's parents for almost a year now, and I pay rent for my own room. But lately I've been getting more and more pissed by the fact that my friend's dad is always prying on my privacy. For starters, he wanted access to my bank account so that he could help me with spending habits, to which I immediately said no, because it's my money and he's not my dad. And plus, he controls my friend's spending and I don't want that. He also really likes opening my packages for whatever reason. Oh, this is so annoying. And even though it's never anything bad, usually just collectibles or figures, I'm getting really sick of the fact that I always come home and find my packages on my bed, opened. Just yesterday, I'd come home from some military training and I was super excited to open and set up a Cyberpunk Edge Runner's light on my wall, only to find that it was yet again open and completely missing the wall mount. And I asked him politely if he'd opened my package, but as per usual, he lied and denied it, even though I get photos from the delivery driver and it was clearly him. Later that night, I found a little bag of wall mounts in the trash. I don't really know what to do at this point, just kind of felt like venting. Yeah, so you can definitely get a PO box or something, and also move out of there ASAP. There are some people that you straight up can't live with, and I feel like this person is getting very close to that. The audacity that they feel like they can go through your stuff, and obviously they don't want you putting holes in the walls or something, but they can tell you that. They don't need to check all of your mail. But yeah, like this comment says, if you can't afford to move out, then get a PO box and have your mail delivered there. He's overstepping and treating you like a child sold instead of a renter. The next one is an update to a post that we've read in the past called I-26 female kicked my soon-to-be ex-friend, 25 female, out of my house. And I'll play that post now so it's not too confusing. And if you guys have already read it, you can skip to this part here. The next one is called I-26 female kicked my soon-to-be ex-friend, 25 female, out of my house. As the title says, last week I kicked what I thought was a good friend out of my house because I can no longer handle her antics. Just want to write it here just to de-stress and deal with the grief of losing a friend. Kendall, 25 female, and I met in university in 2016. We studied different majors, but we're from the same department, so we share many different classes together, and we bonded over our passion for gaming and memes. Upon graduation, Kendall moved back to her hometown due to COVID and found a job there. We kept in touch online through Instagram. About 3 years later, Kendall told me she found a better paying job in the city, so she's planning to move out from her parents' place. When I asked her about her plans on her accommodation, she replied with, "That's the thing, I was going to ask you if you have an extra bedroom that I could move into." For context, I've inherited an apartment from my late grandfather, which is a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom near the city centre, and that was last January. And I currently live alone there since it's closer to my workplace, and it has all the convenience of public transport. After some thinking, I thought there was no harm in living with Kendall, since I considered us as close as friends. We discussed the terms and of course the rent. A week later, Kendall moved into my apartment. It was great at first, my home felt more lively than usual, and the thought of going home to a close friend did warm my heart and gave me a sense of security. Things were okay for a while, and then crap went downhill super quick. Kendall started complaining about many things at home, about her work, her savings, and how she feels homesick. At first, I was very accommodating, thinking maybe she just needs time to get used to the city life. I offered as much help as I can, even to the point that if she's low on money, I don't mind voiding a month's rent if it meant I could help her to achieve financial stability. I taught her how I save money, how I live off my then low salary, with several commitments like my car, my dog, and a student loan. I grew up where my parents expect me to be independent, so I told her things I do when I'm low on cash, how to get freelance jobs, etc. But she always seemed to have excuses for every suggestion I have. Finding a freelance job is too hard, or how she couldn't let go of her premium junk food, that she isn't willing to cook or meal prep, and I eventually decided to leave it as it is. And after 2 months of living together, I realized Kendall started treating me as some kind of competition. She would constantly ask me things like how much money I make a month, how many job hoppings did that take, anything that she thinks she's better than me, she'll definitely pop that question. She boasts about how she's loyal to her crappy paying company, and how I'd never be able to move up the corporate ladder, as she called me an industry frog. She once snooped at my savings balance and asked how the hell did I save so much with commitments. Mind you, she didn't have a lot of commitments. Her parents paid off her student loans and fully paid off a brand new car for her, and maybe I should stop collecting rent from her. I got mad and I told her that if she isn't happy with me, maybe she should move out. Cue the crocodile tears as she said it was a joke, I didn't have to take her seriously, and she begged for my forgiveness and promised to never snoop at my personal items and details again. I let it go once, but she kept bringing things up, like, well, you have the cash and the credit card. Every time I told her I'd rather stay home because I no longer have the budget to go out and have fun. Comments like these became more frequent when I got a new job 6 months ago. On top of that, she doesn't clean up after herself, tried to flirt with my boyfriend, and at times parked in my parking space, when our initial agreement was that she has to find her own parking space if she's going to move in with her own car, because my apartment only has one parking lot per unit. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I caught her kicking my dog in his abdomen when I got home from work. I yelled at her and I rushed to check my dog. Luckily he was fine, but I still rushed him to the vet for safety measures. I got home and she sneered that it was just a dog, and as a friend I shouldn't treat her like that. I asked why she'd kicked my dog and she didn't answer me. She shrugged and tried to escape into her room. At this point it was already about a year since Kendall moved in with me. I lost my cool and I told her off, bringing up her problems and how I tried to be nice and accommodating. Then I told her I'm giving her a week to move out, and from then on I'd rather we keep our relationship casual or we don't ever talk at all. Kendall cried and begged me to not kick her out, but soon it turned into her screaming back at me, calling me a bad friend because apparently in her words, I didn't tell her off on how badly she was behaving. Like, what the hell? Yeah, well, take some responsibility, oh my god. There was a lot of back and forth which I didn't remember what I said, but I remember eventually calling her an entitled brat. She cried again saying it was uncalled for and stormed off to her room. The next day I was bombarded from texts from other uni friends, some calling me selfish and others sympathized with me. This part here is what always frustrates me about these sorts of stories. Why are other people giving their opinion? Like, stay out of it. Apparently Kendall posted our argument on Facebook and Instagram, painting me to be the bad guy. I was upset at first, but I decided that after Kendall moved out we'd no longer be friends, as well as those who took her side of the story and condemned me. Last week Kendall left and I've changed the locks on my apartment. I curled up on my bed and cried myself out, probably from the sad sadness of losing a friend, or maybe I'm finally letting out all the frustrations. I'm definitely still grieving about this loss of a friend, and I've had many good times with Kendall. For now, I want to focus on myself, and hopefully I eventually get over this. Edit the whole teasing that I have more money than Kendall got worse when I told her I was given an offer by an MNC as a senior designer, and I told her the offered salary, as we always did, like I know how much she earns too, which was about 50% more than hers. That was dumb on my part. I now understand why my parents told me to never disclose or discuss salaries from the moment I started working. Yeah, OP, Kendall is not a good friend. They were treating you awfully, and not to mention they were kicking your dog. What? You're in such a better position now that they're gone, OP. Like it's only gonna be up from here. And yeah, what sort of an a-hole gets frustrated and kicks somebody else's dog? That's revolting. Update, I kicked my soon-to-be ex-friend out of my house. For those that haven't seen the original post, you may read it here. Hello everyone, I'm here with some updates about me and my doggo, as well as my now ex-friend Kendall. Let's start off with the update about myself. I've been doing well, and surprisingly, as some of you mentioned previously, I'd gotten over the loss of this friendship rather quick. My boyfriend planned a trip to a pet-friendly beachfront hotel, and I spent a few days with just my boyfriend and doggo. We played in the seawater, and I watched my dog play in the sand. Overall, had a great time, and we even had grilled fish together while watching the sunset. Doggo had a deboned fish fillet. I'm also grateful for my friends who stood by my side regarding the issue. They check in on me from time to time, and they sent me funny content to watch during my free time. Some of them even told me their stories about Kendall and their discontentment with her behavior, which I'll list below. Friend A. Kendall ridiculed friend A several times because friend A earned less than Kendall, despite he's worked a year longer than Kendall. Friend B. Kendall trash talked friend B's company via Instagram, just because Kendall flunked her interview with the said company, with flying colors. Friend C. Kendall always demanded friend C to be her personal driver during our college days. If friend C refused, Kendall would guilt trip her. Friend D. Ruined friend D's assignment by pranking him. She actually formatted his laptop when the project was due in 2 weeks. When confronted, all Kendall said was, oopsies. Oh no, these are so bad. There are many more, but these are the more icky ones I've heard from my friends. And now, with all that out of the way, here's today's main course. After I kicked Kendall out of my house, one of my uni friends, let's call her Anne, stood by Kendall's version of events and has allowed Kendall to move in with her instead. Anne called me out of the blue this afternoon, and her first question to me was, how did you manage to put up with Kendall for a year? She's driving me crazy. Long story short, whatever Kendall did when she was living with me, she now does it to Anne, snooping Anne's personal items, leaving dirty laundry around, generally being a prick in the butt. Anne told me she's planning to force Kendall out of her house too. I didn't comment much since Anne were among those who called me a cruel person, but now it's come back to bite her. But wait, that's not all. According to Anne, Kendall lost her job because she tried to ask for a 100% increment and assaulted her supervisor when the increment request was turned down 2 weeks ago. She was immediately escorted out of the office building by security, and she just texted me 20 minutes ago saying that she needed a favor from me and that she wants a job at my workplace. I replied stating there isn't any vacancy. To be honest, even if there was, I wouldn't hire her. So yeah, I hope this is the last time I'll hear from Kendall, and I'll only update if somehow something interesting happens that involves Kendall. Wow, so Anne was calling you a cruel person for how you dealt with Kendall, but now Anne has had to deal with Kendall and realized that Kendall is the issue. Yeah, they sound insufferable, OP, and for your sake, I hope we don't get any more updates about them. Like we were saying before, there are some people that you can't live with. Kendall definitely seems like one of those people. Story number 4 is called Karen Called the Police Because I'm Going Out at Weird Times and Slaps Me. I'm referring to this post as if it were happening now, but actually it occurred a few years ago. The title sounds strange, but I really don't know how else to describe it. I was a 16-year-old from Serbia, and I live in the building next to my grandmother's, but our entrances don't face each other, so if I manage, I'll draw a map. Now, our buildings are divided into several buildings. Strange, but each entrance functions like its own building, as if we only share walls. You can't exit one entrance to go to another without leaving the building. Now, I live in the entrance facing another building. If I go around it, the other entrance leads to my grandmother's apartment. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away 8 years ago, leaving my grandmother alone in her apartment. My parents back then, behind my back, saw one empty room and asked my grandmother if we could turn it into my private room because I needed privacy. My grandmother was thrilled with the idea. After discussing it with me, we made the room for me. Since I followed my grandmother's rules and I helped her, I didn't spend all my time at her place. Instead, I switched between apartments as needed. For example, I'd come home from school, leave my things, and then go to my grandmother's to sleep, and then return home in the morning to have breakfast. I had a sort of routine for when I went there, with an accuracy of plus or minus an hour. Now again, I live in the entrance facing another building. If I go around it, the other entrance leads to my grandmother's apartment. Directly in front of my entrance is another entrance, and above it at the window 70% of the time when I went out, there was an elderly woman. She always looked at me somewhat grumpily as I passed by. Sometimes I glanced at it, but I had headphones on and often wore a hoodie, so I ignored her. When I had the second shift, I usually got home around 8:20, and then I went to my grandmother's around 10:30, of course, with exceptions. That woman was almost always there, but it didn't bother me because why would it? I saw her for like 20 seconds a day. Once when I was leaving my house to go to my grandmother's without headphones or a hoodie, she finally said something. Karen, you're going to get high again? Me? Huh? Karen, every day you go out with a hoodie over your head in the dead of night. It was 10:30 then. I can clearly see what you're doing. Me? What am I doing? Karen, dealing drugs. What's in that backpack? Wow, that's unbelievable. Me? That's none of your business, just a laptop and equipment. Karen, I think it's drugs. Open it and let me see. Me? I felt like telling her that the only thing I would open for her is a punch in the face, but I said leave me alone, and I walked away. The next day she was waiting for me outside the entrance. Karen, what's in that bag? Me? You're a psycho. Karen, if you don't tell me, I'll call the police. Me? Call whoever you want, I'm out of here. I left while she was yelling at me. The next day, 2 police officers were waiting for me outside the door with Karen. Karen, that's him. He's the local dealer. Me? What's going on? We'll refer to the police officers as P1 and P2. P1, we received a report that drug trafficking is happening here. Me looking at him. Is this for real? P2, as absurd as it may seem, we have to check it out. Me, can you search me and let me go then? P1, we'll search you, but we won't let you go immediately because the lady said she saw you dealing. Me, that woman is crazy, but do what you have to do. I just want to get this over with. P1 was searching me while Karen was yelling about me being a dealer. P2, how old are you? Me, 16. P2, do you have an ID? Me, I literally went to the building next door. I don't even have a wallet. Can I go to my apartment to get it? I'll leave my backpack with the laptop as collateral that I'll return. P1, you live here? Me, yeah. P1, I'll accompany you to the apartment, but I won't enter. Me, okay. When I returned to the apartment, my parents asked me what I'd forgotten. I said, can I get my wallet? My ID is inside. I want to buy a juice. By the way, I really wanted to buy a juice later. I returned to the police officer and my parents hadn't noticed anything yet. Not yet. We returned outside and I showed my ID, which was valid. P2, there's nothing in the backpack. The kid didn't cause any trouble. And let's be real, just look at him. Karen, I know he has drugs. I saw him. Me, where? At this point, Karen made a mistake, pointing to the place under the cameras. Me, when? Karen, she said the exact date. Me, great, we can check the cameras. Realizing that her plan backfired, Karen did the only sensible thing. She slapped me. P1 handcuffed her and put her in the car while Karen was screaming. A small detail about me, I have a lot of pimples. I know one person who has approximately as many pimples as I do, and that's it. When you slapped me, it bled because I barely felt the slap, which made it look a lot worse than it actually was. P1 went to inform my parents. They came out and my mum wiped away the blood while my dad talked to the police. He asked the officer if he could send me to wash up, and P1 sent me. Karen got convicted of assaulting a minor and misusing the police. Since we managed to hush up the whole story from the neighbors by some miracle, no one saw anything. Karen received a punishment and a stern warning. I was late for playing with my friends, which cost me a good heist in GTA. Edit, she wasn't in jail, but she got a good enough warning that she didn't say anything to me since then. But she's still in her usual spot next to the window glaring. Oh, that's awful. I'm glad you've got a good attitude about this, OP, because that was so awful that they did that to you. Ugh. And for absolutely no reason too. Ugh, that sucks. And yeah, now they're just going to look angry at you from the window, and they still have no reason to be angry at you. Story number 5 is called Can We Have Your Seat? First time poster. I've shared this story elsewhere, but since I've finally found a sub dedicated to fools like these that I'm about to mention, I figured I'd share it here, so here it goes. It was 2019, Valentine's Day, which happened to be on a Thursday. I just gotten off work and I went to a particular chicken place chain in the south that is known for their very famous chicken sauce, and while I usually stop here every Saturday night, I was feeling peachy and I decided to treat myself for that evening. When I arrived, it was unexpectedly busy, and funny enough, I was the only single person eating alone that night. I lived 30 minutes away from where I used to work, so I got my boneless wings and I sat down to eat. About 5 minutes in, a young couple, maybe late teens or early 20s, came in, got their order and started looking for a seat. I take occasional glances away from my phone, but I don't think anything of it, when I noticed them approach me from the corner of my eye, coming within 2 to 3 feet of me, and the interaction goes like this: boyfriend, girlfriend, and me. Boyfriend, hey, are you about done, please? We need a place to eat, there's nowhere else to sit. I'm a little taken aback by this, as I've been sitting for almost 5 minutes as well. Me, I'm not even halfway through, sorry man. Why not take it home? Boyfriend stares at me. No one else is almost finished eating, and I and my girlfriend want to sit and eat here, not take it home. Any chance of me getting a to-go box and taking it home just went out the door. Me, sorry, but I'm not getting up. His face gets as red as a beet. Girlfriend, let's take it home. Since this a-hole doesn't have the decency to be nice and give it up. Oh my god, how dare you? boo. Thank you for ruining our night. If that's all it took to ruin your night, you're not having a very good night. That's hilarious. I now stare at her. They go up, talk to the manager who I was very cool with, and they knew who I was because I come in regularly, and they left hastily out the door. As I finish 10 minutes later and I get to leave, I see him and we both exchange glances and we both snicker at each other, and with that I leave to go home. Still remains one of my most bizarre encounters with the public. The entitlement of some folk never ceases to amaze me. It's so unbelievably frustrating when people do stuff like this and they think that you're in the wrong, and they don't even see that they're acting like absolute entitled brats. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to deal with that, OP. Like this comment says, doesn't have the decency to be nice and give it up. I laughed so hard at this that my girlfriend stared at me like I'm crazy. If anybody said that, I would have replied, sorry that your sorry ass boyfriend didn't have the decency and time to make actual reservations so that you guys can eat. There's a McDonald's down the road, should be empty. Yeah, for real, how is any of that OP being an a-hole? Some people are so confusing. Okay, last one for today. Cousin becomes unhinged when I make an innocent comment about my mother. My cousin has the habit of going on very offensive, insulting rants. I'm going to share a few with you. Christmas of 2016, I'd come home. My mother, who had been in a wheelchair for the last 20 years, had to move into long-term care that fall. My cousin was driving me to her place for drinks when I made the mistake of saying, very casually, isn't it a shame that there isn't a residence where each person has their own apartment, but there are a few aides on staff, so you can book a time for an aide to help you get up if you need that, and same for going to bed. She literally leaned across the front seat and screamed at me, well, that doesn't exist. I said, no, I know. I was just saying that it's a shame that it doesn't exist. And she screamed, well, it doesn't exist anywhere. I made the mistake of saying, I think it exists in Ontario. She screamed, your mother isn't moving down. Oh my God, what is going on? No matter what I said, she would just lean across and scream at me. When we got to her place, she screamed, and if you're still angry, projection, she was angry. I was in shock. Don't even think of putting a foot out of this car. I'll turn around and drive you home. At that point, I just said, sure, drive me home. So she started to drive me home. Then at one point, she pulled over and gave me a hug and said, crying, we shouldn't fight. And I hugged her back, but I wasn't crying. Anyway, we did have those drinks, but what an uncomfortable evening. What did we just read? That has to be the last one for today because we need to read something wholesome after that. And I also don't feel like it's an entitled sort of issue. Like they're completely unhinged, OP. And also there are so many people in the comments saying that there are places like that they were describing. And you're screaming at somebody while you're driving a car. They sound dangerous. And that's enough for today. Let's read something wholesome. What cows see when I drive past them. See, this is so much better. Funny, cute, wholesome, harmless, absolutely not terrifying. When the person in front of you says you only have a couple of items and lets you skip ahead in the grocery line, thank you. Yeah, 100%. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It's so beautiful when people do that. A deer wandered in front of my yard. It stopped to watch my neighbor's little dog. My cat stopped to watch the deer. I stopped to watch my cat. And now we're watching all of you. That's awesome. So we're kind of all looking at the little dog. Must have been a pretty cute dog. Just needs sunlight and I'll feel better. Aw, sunbaking little kitty cat. Another one by that doodle guy. And as they always are, that's so cute. And on that note, that's enough for today. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. Today we're reading about some more entitled people and it's going to be so fun. I hope you guys are having a good day, or I hope you did have a good day. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like and subscribe and let me know down below. And let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. My neighbor offered my mum $1 for part of her property after expanding his driveway into part of her front yard. This might be the wrong place for this. It's a combination of entitlement and general terribleness. I can't wait. My 74-year-old mum's neighbor, mid-60s male, decided he needed a bigger driveway so he could fit 4 cars, including the ones belonging to his 2 children, who no longer live there. My mum somewhat reluctantly agreed, under the condition that she pay for everything built over the property line and maintain the right to remove or build on top of the unreasonably large driveway. A few years went by. The neighbor wanted to sell the house and asked my mum to sell him part of the property he'd built onto, the part which she had also paid for $1. And when she said no, all hell broke loose. He started showing up at her house with a video camera, screaming at her for being a cruel woman who didn't want him to see his kids. There is permit street parking and all residents on the block have 2 parking passes, and you can request up to 6 temporary guest parking passes. Eventually, she decided to have a surveyor come to determine the property line and build a fence to keep him and his family away from her. When workers started pulling up the part of the driveway on her side of the property line, it got even more aggressive and ridiculous. His wife showed up crying over how they can't live without the extra driveway space. They started strategically parking their cars to make it as difficult on the workers as possible. They threatened threatened to report the workers to ICE despite having no knowledge of the immigration status of the workers. In response, they rather hilariously pulled up everything around and under the son's car, so only the tires were still on the driveway, and then the son showed up at the door and told my mum, "I just made my first $1 million and I'm gonna buy the house and make your life miserable." One day I was in the backyard and the guy was leaning over the fence and yelled, "F you." When I turned around, he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were your mother." They eventually sold the house for nearly $500,000 under asking. The new neighbors are lovely. Right, so they ended up leaving. Oh, that's such a good ending. I was gonna say, I hope your mum didn't have to leave. That would have been so sad. Because yeah, somebody would have to leave. You can't live next to people like this. And like this comment says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were your mother." Lol, what? Did he expect you to say, "Understandable, have a nice day"? And OP said, "I wish I had some awesome response that made him run off crying, but I was so shocked I just told him to go F himself." Well, that's better than nothing, OP. But yeah, for real, how awful can people be? Apparently pretty bloody awful. Post number 2 is called Entitled Karen Wants to Use My Wheelchair at an Antique Store. Cast is me, myself, and I. Nels, old man, though he doesn't speak. And Harriet is Karen. My husband and I rent a display space in an antique and consignment store. For our collective side hustles, I quilt and crochet. My husband sells custom die-cast cars and diorama supplies. Every few weeks we go in and restock our space. This store is very large and it can be a bit of a maze, and the store has designated rest stops in the aisles. One is across from our space. The store does not provide mobility aids for customers, so it's a BYO policy if you need a walker or wheelchair. I'm a wheelchair user as I'm paralyzed from an L2 spinal cord injury. My husband and I were at the store restocking the space. My husband had just left to take one of our totes out of our van, leaving me in our space sorting through my tote that the baby sets I make. When I hear somebody huffing behind me, I didn't really pay too much attention to it, thinking that somebody might have been taking a break at the rest stop. I was just finishing laying out my sets on the table in our space when the person at the rest stop decided to talk to me. "Do you know if the store has wheelchairs for people to use?" I look up from my task and I see an elderly couple across from our space. The old man is standing next to the bench looking kind of annoyed, while the woman has flopped on the bench in an "I can't take another step" kind of way. I honestly was concerned that she might have been having a medical issue, as she was rather plump. "Are you okay?" I ask, about to tell her or her partner to use the phone above the bench to reach the staff desk if they need help. "This store is too freaking big," Harriet exclaims. "I can't walk anymore." Me, "This store has a chair for Medivac use. One of the employees could bring it to you if you need help leaving." Harriet, "But we're not done shopping." Me, "I don't think they have wheelchairs to borrow. They've had issues with rowdy kids riding mobility scooters, so they don't provide them. But if you use the phone above you can ask a staff member. Just dial 1 and it'll connect you to the staff desk. There's a sign next to the said phone that states this." Harriet seems to be thinking about her options, so I go about my work. Nels wanders down the aisle, possibly looking for an escape route. Harriet, "What about the wheelchair you're sitting in?" Me, "This is my personal wheelchair. It doesn't belong to the store." Harriet, "Can I borrow it?" Me, "What? Surely she's not asking to take my chair to go shopping." Harriet, "I want to use the wheelchair. You're young enough that you could stand to walk for a bit. I'll bring it back." Me, "Ma'am, I can't stand at all. I've been paraplegic since I was 12. This wheelchair is not store issued. It's my personal property that cost a lot of money. If you call the staff, maybe they can let you use the medical chair, or maybe they know somebody who has one in their space that you can buy. But I will not give you my chair and I can't help you." At this point, I've rolled out of our space. I decided to head towards the vendor door and just leave. Rumor has it Harriet is still sitting on the bench waiting for somebody to give her a wheelchair. Wow, that's so bad. Telling somebody in a wheelchair to stand up? Oh, come on. I know you're in a wheelchair, but surely you don't need it. I'm older than you, so that must mean that, what, you're healthy and I'm not? The absolute audacity. What, you're paraplegic and you haven't been able to walk since you were 12? Well, I'm old, so I need it more. Sorry you had to deal with this person, OP. I've noticed that about old people, and I don't want to make like a massive generalization, but old people can either be super cute and nice, or they can be so entitled and angry, as you can see in this post. The next one is called "I Caught My Mum's Partner's Son Going Through My Stuff." So, my 19 male mother, 43 female, began dating L, mid-40s male, last year. Eventually, he brought his 2 children to visit me and my sister, 13 female. I'd returned from a remote job. I had to leave the night before because the job was 3 hours away in a small town. I got home from the job around 5 p.m. The moment I got in the door, I made it abundantly clear that I would not tolerate anything, as I was quite tired and hungry. I'd only eaten a cheese and bacon roll. I showered. As I smelt like diesel fuel and sweat, I entered my room and I found my mother's partner's son going through my PlayStation 4 game collection. I'd purchased a PS4 from my best friend. I immediately kicked him out. I relayed the story to my mum, who stunned me by saying that he was grumbling that I'd kicked him out of my room. Some additional details. 1. He owns 2 PlayStation 4s and a PS5. He, up to that point, always knocked on the door and asked prior prior to playing with me or watching me play. Number 3, he has been busted before I even got the PlayStation, attempting to purchase games for the PlayStation. I generally see him 1 to 3 times every second week. Number 5, I was working in 38-degree weather from 6 AM until 1 PM, and he was apparently warned by both my mother and his father about approaching me, and was advised not to ask until the following day. Yeah, God, I don't know, that's not that bad. They don't really sound that entitled. They sounded like they were excited to hang out with you. Like, yeah, they should be asking first, but does this make them entitled? I don't know. I don't feel like it. And also, what do you mean he was warned by my mother and his father about approaching me and advised to not ask until the following day? As in, like, what? You can't be polite because you got home from work or something? Is that what that means? Like, I'm tired from work, don't ask me today, ask me tomorrow? Like, yeah, they should be taught boundaries and they should be taught to ask if they need something. But also, a bit like this comment says, sorry mate, but I feel bad for the kid. Imagine being excited to watch somebody else play a PlayStation 4. Give him a break. But like the comment under that says, at top, should have had a talk that it's not cool to go through other people's stuff without talking first. And if he wants to watch a game being played, at least ask, hey, that game is cool, can we play? Not go rummaging while OP is in the shower to ask after he'd rummaged around. But on the relaxed side of talking, that's just siblings, no matter what shape or kind, OG siblings. As the oldest of siblings, I've had this talk a million times to ask first. Yeah, definitely. The next one is called Entitled Neighbor Thinks He Can Wander Into My Back Garden Whenever He Wants. I'm gonna try and set the scene a bit here. My house backs onto a number of flats. I have a little terrace and garden out the back that's linked to my property. Below that terrace is a small patio area that's linked to the flats, which they can get access to by their own back door. There are then steps up to my area which are gated off. I also have a locked gate that allows access to the terrace and garden because I live on a main road. A few months ago, the flat behind me had a problem with their plumbing, and the drain behind was overflowing with literal crap. Obviously an extremely nasty situation for everybody. When the owner of the flats, we'll call him T, asked if he could come around the back and check the drain. Of course we said yes, because we're not total a-holes. After he checked the drain, he said he needed somebody to come out, check it, and then drain it. We agreed, but we made it clear that we'd need to be made aware of it before it happened, as stipulated in our rental agreement with the letting agent. He said fine, and we got a notice before any work was done, so we could ensure that our gate was unlocked. I thought that was the end of it, and boy was I wrong. A few days later, I was at home and I heard my front gate open. I found it odd because my boyfriend wasn't due home from work for a little while, and nobody knocked on the door. The door to my house is immediately next to the gate, so it's seconds between the gate opening and a knock. When the gate went a second time, I looked outside to find T walking away. Obviously, he'd entered my property without my consent, wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt, believing that he just wanted to check the drain one last time. I didn't say anything about it, letting it slide. A couple of days later, my boyfriend, who had given him his number to deal with the drain issue, got a phone call from him saying that he needed to gain access to the back of our property. And why did we have our gate locked? As my boyfriend said, we were both at work and neither could come home to deal with his request, and if he needed something to speak to the letting agents, he just hung up. I spoke to my boyfriend and we collectively came to the decision that we'd keep the gate locked at all times, even when we were in, because I didn't feel comfortable with him just walking into my property as and when he felt like it, and he did not like that. The next time he tried to get in, my boyfriend was at home and I was at work. When he opened the gate, he got a stream of abuse from T, asking why we'd lock the gate when he had permission to have access to the back, and there's a note in our rental agreement to state this. He threatened to get solicitors on us if we didn't leave the gate open or give him a key to get in when he wanted. It was here he said because he'd renovated the house he deserved to gain access on his terms, even though he wasn't our landlord. My boyfriend just told him to take it up with the letting agent if there was a problem and shut the door in his face. When I got home, I combed through my rental agreement and there was no such note in place. The only thing I could find about access was that we required 24 hours of notice for any work or access to the property, including the garden, unless it was urgent and they required access sooner, but they still had to provide detail in writing about any work that would be done even within 24 hours. Because of this, I told the letting agent, who had communication with T, that he would have to ask for access to my garden via them, and I required the written notice as stipulated in my contract. They agreed to pass the message on. Things cooled a bit, but the problem with the drain started again. We could see it was overflowing and apparently T was aware, but we hadn't heard anything from him or the letting agent about when somebody would come and deal with it. This was when I got my own back. I'm probably a bad person for this, but at this stage I'd had enough. T turned up with the drainage company on a day that I was home unwell. I was lying on the sofa when I heard a van pull up and somebody trying to open the gate, but of course it was locked. The bell went and I considered getting up and answering the door, but when I heard T's voice, I decided I wasn't going to feed his entitlement. I just laid back down, stuck my earplugs in, and tried to go back to sleep. For the next 30 or so minutes, he tried to get in, constantly ringing the bell, knocking loudly on my window, shouting into the house, screaming at what I can only assume was my boyfriend on the phone, but I ignored it all. Eventually, he got the message and left. When my boyfriend came home from work, he came back to give us a verbal dressing down, threatening legal action again, etc. etc. because he needed access to the property and we didn't provide it. I pointed out that neither of us were in when he turned up, my blinds were shut and nobody can see in, so he didn't know I was off sick, and he didn't give us the agreed notice that he'd require access, and in the future I'll no longer be dealing with him if he wants access to go through the letting agent, and the next time I find him in my garden I'm ringing the police for trespassing. He was still threatening me, so I told him to go for it because I get free legal advice due to a membership I had, and if he really wants to go down that route, be my guest. I've honestly never seen somebody shut up so quick. He said he'd go through the letting agent in the future, and I said good choice, and I shut the door in his face. After that he solely dealt with the letting agent and followed all instructions once he knew I had access to free legal advice. The best part about this whole incident was he could have checked the drain from his own property and never needed access to my garden. He just wanted to flex his muscles and thought he could bully us because we're a young couple. Yeah, it definitely seems like that, OP. And good job on how you handled this. I feel like you two handled this so well. I don't really understand why they were trying to do this so much though. Like, what did they get out of this? Besides, yeah, being entitled. But yeah, good job, OP. Post number 5 is called My Ex-Neighbor Wanted Her Lawnmower Blade Sharpened for Free. But it gets worse. My ex-neighbor was a woman living alone and she didn't like the fact that living alone meant taking care of her own stuff. She also had a bit of a habit of getting her granddaughter to play with my daughter, and then she'd come up with an emergency and leave her granddaughter with me. She was supposed to be babysitting her. She would often try to get me or my husband to do various jobs for her. One example that comes to mind is when she decided that her lawnmower blade needed to be sharpened. I told her that I didn't think my husband knew how to do it, since my father-in-law did it for us last time it needed to be done. My ex-neighbor then told me that since she was a single woman on her own, my father-in-law should do it if he was a gentleman. I kept telling her my father-in-law was busy and had projects of his own, and she got annoyed and wouldn't drop it. I then told her there's a local place that sells and services lawnmowers, and to get it done there. I even went as far as calling the store and getting a quote from her because she told me she didn't know how to do it. It was $15 to get it done if you brought in just the blade, and $30 if they had to remove it. I told her it'd be easy with the right tools, and she told me it was men's work and demanded that my husband do it for her. He refused, and she was mad at me for a few weeks because I wouldn't force my husband to do it. Yeah, what? Why do they feel entitled to even say that? Yeah, like this comment says, keep her mad at you so she avoids you. Yeah, definitely. Oh no, are you upset at me because of your entitled behavior? Oh no, maybe you won't talk to me anymore. What a shame. It's scary how many entitled people there are. The next one is called Sister Cusses Out My Daughter at Her Wedding. So my daughter, we'll call her T, came over to the house to do some laundry and she was asking, what the hell is Aunt Liz's problem? I asked what she meant, and she explained how my sister had posted on Facebook that she and her husband were going away for their 15th wedding anniversary. T said that she'd sent Auntie Liz a congrats post, and Liz responded back with, very freaking funny. So I sat her down and I told her what I'm about to tell you. When T was 4, Liz had called us and said that she was getting married in a few months. She and I were doing the typical girly squee sounds, and oh, that's wonderful stuff that sisters usually do. When we calmed down, she asked if T would be willing to be the flower girl. I asked her and she said yes, and chanted, I'm a bee flower girl, and started running around and pretend flying like she was a new member of the Justice League or something. I told Liz, we need to work on it, but she's in. About a month later, the invites come in. In them, it was stated that Liz did not want any children under the age of 17 there, and explained why. The reasons were sound: bored children, potential disruptions, etc. I did, however, have one concern. I called her and I asked, hey, just got the invites. Me and the boys will be there, but Hubs has a business trip that month and can't make it. Do you still want T as your flower girl? Liz replied, oh god, yes, she's too cute to not have her. I shrugged and said, well, it'll be the 4 of us. Consider this your RSVP. She said, great, see you there. We hung up and I went online and made the reservations. A room for me and T, and an adjoining room for the boys, Ron 19 and Carl 17, not their names. Fast forward to the weekend of the wedding. The venue is a 6-hour drive for me, and I had to get out there on a Friday for the Saturday wedding. Since I had to wait for Carl to get out of school, we had a late start on Friday, and we got there around 10 p.m. I got out and I checked into the hotel room and I texted Liz. They were still at the venue and they'd be there for at least another hour or two, taking care of details, so we drove over. We got there and it was the usual pre-wedding chaos. Liz was getting things to her liking and going a bit bridezilla. She saw us, beamed and came over. However, when she got closer and saw who was in my party, she blew up. Why did you bring her? She screamed. I said, but you wanted her for... I was cut off and Liz went into a complete screaming meltdown about how this was her day. She didn't want children there, and how dare you bring a freaking child to my wedding, while looking right at T, and then stormed off screeching curses into the night. I was done. T was crying and saying, but I wanted to be the flower girl, in between sobs, and Ron and Cole looked like they wanted to kill their aunt, and at that moment I wasn't sure I wanted to stop them. I picked up T and I tried to comfort her, and I herded the crew back to the car and we drove back to the hotel. I was seriously considering just packing up the car and heading home. I told the boys that, and Ron was being the level-headed one. Mum, it's a 6-hour drive and we're all too tired and pissed to make that drive right now. We'd get in around 5 to 6 in the morning depending on rest stops and bathroom breaks. Do you really want to do that since we have a nice hotel room for the night? How about we go back to the hotel, get a night's sleep and head back in the morning? I grudgingly admitted that he had a point. Carl piped up. Mum, I've got another idea. I was waspish and I kinda snapped. What is it? Carl looked up from his phone and sheepishly said, well, T's pretty upset, which was true. It's been 15 minutes and she's still sobbing, I want to be flower girl over and over in the backseat. Carl continued, there's a county fair that just started tonight. Carnival rides, petting zoo games and that sort of thing. I snapped, so? Carl is made of sterner stuff. He didn't wither under my anger and continued on. We have the hotel until Sunday morning. Why not spend the night here, go to the fair tomorrow and then go home on Sunday like we planned? Give T something to think about besides Auntie Liz's freakout. Let her have some fun and we could all use her mum and the gang outing right about now. I calmed down a bit and said, an idea not without merit. I looked at T in the rearview mirror and said, what about it, T? You want to go to the fair instead of the wedding? She sobbed, I want to be flower girl. Carl piped up, they're gonna have cotton candy and deep fried Oreos. The crying stopped. There was one last sniffle and an exhausted but determined, I want to go to the fair. So that's what we did and we had fun. Liz could have her bridezilla day and that was that. Except that it wasn't. We'd all turned our phones off since we knew calls will be coming in and we just couldn't be bothered to deal with it. When we got back to the hotel, my mum and dad were there. They lit into me about how T was supposed to be the flower girl and we just blew my sister and her special day off. Mum, Dad, I said, you know how the invite said no children? I called Liz when we got ours and I asked if she still wanted T as a flower girl. She said that she did. So I brought T to the venue last night and Liz flipped out about how dare I bring a child to her special day. Carl, bless his I can't function without an iPhone in his hand heart, pulled up the video. I didn't know how he'd recorded it, but he was able to catch the final, how dare you bring a freaking child to my wedding? I lit into them back. So if T's supposed to be there as a flower girl, but not be there because she's a child, how the hell am I supposed to pull that off? She went to the fair to calm down and so she'd have something happy to remember and hopefully forget that Liz cussed her out. To her face, Mum and Dad went quiet and then apologized. They said they'd have a word with Liz when she got back from the honeymoon and then had a nice chat with T about the things that she saw and did. We drove home Sunday morning and that was that. Story over, back into the present. T was blown away. Mum, would I be a bad person for unfriending her and blocking her ass? I said no and we went back to enjoying some mum and daughter time. That was so good. I'm hoping it was real, but I've got a pretty good feeling it isn't. A couple of times there I was like, I can't really imagine people talking like this, but hey, I don't know, maybe it is real. Either way, that was so fun to read and I feel like that's a good place to read something wholesome. That was such a fun episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm proud I'm not where I used to be. Yeah, how true is that? And beautiful too. You go, Pikachu. A wholesome meme with a beautiful message. Hell yeah. Is this too small? Your hug is always my size. Oh, cute. That one's by Jang and Fox. Really cute, and the art style is too. I still have a long way to go, but I'm already so far from where I used to be, and I'm proud of that. Yeah, and you should be. I love these. They're wholesome and motivational. I got the job. Thank you for helping me look more formal. Anytime. Oh, beautiful little fish as a tie. I feel like we should end the video on this beautiful wah wah wee wah comic. So yeah, thank you for watching everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day today goes to JZ5986. Karen videos always make me glad that my job no longer makes me interact with people. Yeah, I bet it does. I don't mean to scare you with my videos. Like, there are some really wonderful people out there. They're not all Karens, but I know what you mean. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for all the support, guys. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!